welcome back to the Moonjuice Metal and Horror Podcast, the podcast where we live and breathe heavy metal but are not afraid to shit on both of them. So, Matt.
Absolutely. So, do you think that we're going to shit on this film today, or do you think that this...
I think I would say Dawn of the Dead. I don't... Probably not, because, it's the Dawn of the Dead remake is actually a very good remake that is equally as good as the original, but is just different, So I wouldn't say there's probably going to be things we're going to be shitting about it a lot, but I don't think that much because, for me, this is the first zombie movie we're doing. You know me, Matt, and a lot of people that know me, my big things are zombies, vampires, and werewolves.
Yes, so if that wasn't clear enough for all the viewers in the last couple episodes, Mike is not only a werewolf fanatic, but he is absolutely a fucking zombie fanatic.
Yeah.
I figured you were going to nerd out about this movie quite a bit. Just because I figured you were going to nerd out about this movie quite a bit.
I'm probably going to have a few nerd things, but there's probably not going to be much nerd rage. No,
yeah.
We should do 28 weeks later. Because I guarantee you, I'm going to fucking nerd rage on that movie brutally hard.
So that's one of my things, right? So this movie came out around the same time that 28 Days Later did, right?
Yeah.
So it was, I think it was like maybe a year apart.
Months,
I can't remember exactly when 28. Yeah, right.
So I don't know. I
didn't hate 28 Days Later.
Yeah, no, me neither. The thing is, I also didn't hate 28 Days Later. I thought it was okay, no? But I don't know. How should I say it? For me, it was not really. It's an okay zombie movie. No, it's not bad. But it does absolutely nothing I have not seen in literally any other zombie movie. For me, when I first watched 28 Days Later, my first thought was, this is a fucking Resident Evil ripoff. Yeah, because at that time, the zombies coming from a virus thing, the kind of scientific explanation beyond it, was not done very often. The first zombie franchise that made that popular was Resident Evil. No?
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure.
I didn't know that. I thought that for whatever reason in my head, it's always been a virus. No. You know what I mean? Because it has all the attributes of a virus. That's the thing.
It does.
If you get bitten, if you swap bodily fluids with somebody who has this in any way, you're going to get it. So obviously it's a virus. And even like the old, George A. Romero's Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, it was never said that it was a virus, but you kind of knew it anyway. 28 Days Later comes out and just kind of says, yes, it's a virus. And by the way, we're going to show you at the beginning that it started with monkeys.
No, not because the thing is, because diseases do not only spread over viruses. If you get bit by a bit, for example, that could be a virus, a microbe. It could be a spore of some kind, There are like several different microbes that literally you can infect somebody with over a bite. Now we're getting into shit that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, that is stuff that we learn probably in higher level university, or like if you like to read, you learn about that stuff. But the general public, a virus is a virus is a virus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're right. The thing is, you're right about that point, no? In a lot of older zombie movies, it was never, specifically said if it was a virus or if it was something supernatural or whatever. But depending on what stories it was never really clearly defined what exactly it was. No?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Like, I'm not sure.
I can't
entirely remember how Return of the Living Dead did it. No, but
Return of the Living Dead. So here's the thing. Like, it's not exactly an unspoken thing, but like for horror fanatics and people who love George A. Romero's original works, those movies are set almost, it's the exact same Earth, the exact same universe, and the exact same timeline. So you get Night of the Living Dead, you get Day of the Dead, you get Dawn of the Dead, and you get Return of the Living Dead. So they're all the same.
No. Actually, no. Those Return of the Living Dead has nothing to do with George R. Romero's trilogy.
Is Return of the Living Dead the one with Living Dead Girl in it?
Maybe, yeah, but that's not George R. Romero.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not, because the original trilogy, and you mix them up. First, it's Night of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead. But
right, okay. No. So, out of those movies, which one was your favorite? The originals?
Dawn of the Dead, I would say.
Dawn of
my
the Dead?
favorite one was My favorite, actually, Dawn of the Dead, the original. I mean, the
Okay.
other two I liked as
Well,
well.
the original, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this movie pretty much followed that movie's story too. Like
It did. Absolutely. Yeah.
they
It
did,
did.
like they didn't try to remake it scene for scene, but they did like basically follow the
Yeah, the
story.
basic plot. I mean, the
Yeah.
basic plot is the same, and that's personally what I think a
Why?
remake should be. I mean, a remake should be the basic plot, modernized, reinvented, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what they a lot of remakes do not do well. They have to change the basic plot on multiple levels.
Well, to be fair, I didn't read a whole lot of behind the scenes stuff about this film because I just honestly didn't have the time this week.
I
But
did. Yeah.
I didn't. But the fact that it has Zack Snyder and James Gunn as the two main people doing this movie, it already had a lot going for it. And those guys are incredible writers, great directors. I mean, there's no way that this film would have failed. I mean, even though this was early on in their careers, there's no way that this film would have failed. Like with those two guys helming this, no way. And I mean, it shows through too. I will say, not as slapstick funny as James Gunn's stuff normally is, but there is one character in the movie that is basically his character. I like pointed him out immediately. I'm like, yeah, James Gunn wrote that fucking character.
Yeah, but actually, we also want to talk a little bit, about metal, because we've been talking.
Yeah, this conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking. Okay, this is a metal and horror podcast, and we just thought, to talk a little about metal because I came a little bit short in a few episodes. So I say, like, let's just take like 10 minutes or so to talk about before we get into the movie.
Well, it's not just because there hasn't been enough metal in the podcast. I mean, this is something I wanted to talk about anyway, but I wanted to do a little bit more with it, right? I wanted to do a little bit more with. So what we wanted to talk about is a conversation that me and Mike had earlier this week, and it was about, like, if you watch the first one or two episodes, there's a piece in there where he's like, well, if you have death metal and then you add clean vocals to it, you change it, but it's kind of like a cat. You have a cat, and then you put a hat on the cat, and the cat does not cease to be a cat. It is now just a cat with a hat on it, right? And so it's exactly a ridiculous fucking conversation. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, this conversation drives me fucking crazy because it's all anybody in the metal scene talks about, right? And it gets on my last nerve because of the whole gatekeeping thing, right?
Yeah.
Gatekeeping, and then how you will automatically not listen to this band because you've heard. You might not have even listened to the fucking band, but you've heard that they might be metalcore, so you're not even going to give them a chance. Who the fuck said they were metalcore? If it was the band, you can probably believe it.
Yeah, but the thing is also, it's just like, it's to a certain degree, it's also the kinds of aggravating is this extreme, like disgust of metalcore. I'm a metalcore fan, you know that? No?
Yeah, I am too. I like metalcore, man.
Yeah, I mean, metalcore is not, metalcore. There are different kind of multiple bands, but that's also a thing that I always kind of think is because, like, if something's metalcore, it's not real metal. I have seen multiple discussions and had discussions with people where it's like, this is fucking ridiculous. And it's like, no, that's not metal. That's metalcore. Metalcore is pussy metal because they have this stupid clean singing or whatever. And it's just like, and this is like, oh my God. The most ridiculous thing I had was at a concert, where I was talking to a guy. He's all this modern metalcore shit, it all pissed me off with all these synths and this white good singing and blah, blah, blah. Metalcore sucks and blah. You know what? The guy was wearing an As I Lay Dying shirt. I mean, do I have to say much more?
Oh, but that's typical. And I got this same conversation I got into with another guy who absolutely hated metalcore. And so, or, acted like he hated metal. It's one of those scene guys who's like, oh no, metalcore, dude, I can't listen to any of that. It's for pansies and whatever. So we were sitting there talking, and I can't remember what band I played, but I picked out, I think it might have been Solosis, right? So I picked out Solosis because they're a metalcore band, right? And I played that in the background, and I was like driven to it. He's like, oh, this is fucking awesome, dude. This is good shit. Who is this? I'm like, oh yeah, it's Solosis. You never heard of him? He's like, nah, dude, I'm going to have to fucking write this shit down and listen to more of their stuff. And I'm like, interesting, because they're metalcore. Like, the band is very blatantly metalcore. Like, they come out and say there's metalcore. There's clean singing in there. So obviously you have no idea what you're talking about, dude. None. And that's 90% of the people in fandom, at least in metal.
Easily. I understand when I think they say they hate metalcore, they're talking very often talking about stuff like Electric Callboy and Attack and Motionless in White. No, I mean, you can like or dislike the bands, no. but that is actually not really. I mean, that is of course metalcore, but that is not like that's what metalcore eventually developed to during the 2010s around that time.
So
But
here's my
actually,
question about metalcore.
what?
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
Yep.
you.
No. I was fine. Ask your question.
Hey. So if you were to define, this is where I was last night on this topic.
Yeah.
If you were to define metalcore, right? How would you define it?
A mixture of some heavy metal with hardcore punk, occasionally in a lot of songs, screaming vocals and a mix of clean vocals. That's kind of how I would define it. No? Yeah, that is literally the definition of metalcore.
Okay.
It's a mixture of heavy metal with hardcore punk. That is literally how metalcore came to be, and that is literally what it is.
But see, from that definition, I would say hardcore. Hardcore metal is what that is. Like,
Yeah,
you see the defining terms here? Like, if you want to go with hardcore punk, hardcore punk with metal influences, or metal with hardcore punk influences, that is almost certainly hardcore. But with that logic, if you added clean singing to hardcore music, then you would have metalcore, right? No, not at all.
Like that. I mean, yeah.
Right, and so here's my other point. There's a band out there that I absolutely love, and they're called the Halo Effect. You ever heard of the Halo Effect? Okay, so the Halo Effect is basically original together. Yeah, I know. I'm just like, I can't remember if we listened to it together or if you've heard them or whatever, but basically what that is that In Flames from the 90s. Basically like early 90s before Anders took over and they did the Jester Race and all that stuff. So they basically came back. They can't call themselves In Flames because In Flames still exists in another version of itself. But this band has the Gothenburg sound. It's extremely heavy metal, and it has a shitload of clean singing in it. When you compare the way that they sound next to Solosis and maybe a couple other, metalcore bands, I would say they were metalcore. I'm probably going to get a lot of fucking hate for that.
Yeah,
I don't think they're a metalcore band.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a metalcore band, but every element of metalcore is in their music, and yet everybody's like, oh, they're such a true band, And I'm like, so metalcore really doesn't have anything to do with the sound. At least that's what I'm getting nowadays from people. It's like, it's not about the sound. It's about where they come from. And like, shut the fuck up, dude. Nobody gives a fuck about genres anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I never really gave that much crap about genres. No, I got into metal mainly through metalcore, back in 2006 or whatever, or maybe even earlier. Before that, I listened to nu metal and Iron Maiden and stuff like that. But it was always, what you're saying is not necessarily even genre. It's even, sometimes you have even genres fighting among each other. No? Because I remember when back in, I don't know, a long time ago, because I always, when I listen to metalcore, I always like bands that had clean singing in it. Because I just like the mixture between extreme screaming metal and clean singing. I like that. It's just my type of taste. That you, by the way, do not only find in metalcore, but no. And it was like, a lot of these people, all these metal fans, they're like, it has to be super hard, super heavy, super extreme all the time. If there's one melodic part in it, and it has one line of clean singing in it, it automatically sucks. And that's how, back in the days, a lot of them reacted to it.
That's a problem with music education is what that is. That's just not having enough experience with heavy metal and only liking a few bands to form a shitty opinion. That's all that is. I mean, because what is melodic death metal? I would think, because melodic death metal is so big, right? And you barely have anyone out there that can say that they're a metal fan that doesn't like melodic death metal.
Yeah.
There's just not many. And what that is it's heavy riffs, a lot of melody, and clean singing.
Not always. No, but...
Yeah. Not always. It doesn't always have to be that way, but look at your most, I'm not going to say popular, but most well-known melodic death metal bands. There's a lot of clean singing in there. And there's a lot of breakdown.
Yeah, that's also, that now we come to also something that's kind of like, what the fuck are genres? Because I'm going to be honest, to me, I never really saw much difference between melodic death metal or metalcore.
I just don't, man. I think maybe the Gothenburg sound is maybe really the only difference, but the Gothenburg sound is basically just kind of not been forgotten. I mean, it's still used in music, but not to the point to where you hear the Gothenburg sound and you're like, oh yeah, that's melodic death metal. because there's a lot of new metal bands that use that sound as well, and there's also a lot of metalcore bands that use that sound as well. So as far as I'm concerned, metalcore doesn't really exist. It doesn't really exist because you can listen to 10 melodic death metal bands side by side and mix a few metalcore bands in there. And as long as the singing is not whiny, I can't tell the difference. As somebody who's been listening to metal since I was 14 and I'm 45.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I agree with you on that point.
There's not much metalcore. I'm going to keep doing metalcore because I don't really think it exists, but there's not much metalcore that I hate. There's a few that I don't really like, and I think what it comes down to is the clean voice being really whiny. And there's a few of those bands.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe the one that comes to mind is Bullet for My Valentine, which I can't give those guys 2 seconds of listening because I can't stand them. But the clean singing in that is extremely whiny. No, maybe we should just label them metalcore and then...
Yeah, that is metalcore.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, As I Lay Dying in kind of their early years as well, I think, what was it, second album? Which, is it the second album that's got, Darkest Nights is the name of the song.
I think that's the second or the third album, yeah.
Yeah, second album. The clean singing on that is extremely whiny, and that was kind of their transition into kind of what we consider metalcore. But even then, I didn't hate it. I thought that it was great. Yeah. Right? I really liked it. The riffs are heavy. The lead singer, Tim Lambesom, even though he's probably the worst human being on the fucking planet. And you heard that here first. One of the worst fucking human beings on the planet had a great screaming voice. I mean, it was a great band. But I didn't listen to him after.
It was for a very long time one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just like we said, this entire the thing is, we said it before in previous episodes, this entire genre thing is not something that I have ever taken really seriously, and it's something that a lot of fans take way more seriously than musicians do. I mean, just like if you have like a lot of these new genres being invented or whatever, is literally half of the time just fucking PR. It's to make yourself sound special. Just like. Yeah. If you have like for what are they called? Dragon Force? Is that what the name was? No?
Dragon Force, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No? There's like they're listed as Nintendo metal. Like, you're fucking idiots. The only thing, it's power metal what you're doing. And the next thing is Electric Cowboy. Now it's new core. What? I'm like, what? I've heard that. Like, I'm like, it's metalcore.
I've ceased to care.
Yeah, and it's just like you have it just no. It's new core. No, fucking idiot. It's metalcore. There is no. It's the typical, like 2010 modern metalcore shit. You have like breakdowns basically all the time and like pop synths over it. No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even though Electric Cowboy, I've seen the band like 4 or 5 times. They're an amazing live band, and I go to a show. I go to one of their shows anytime again because it's a super fun party. I love it, but I never really listened to it. I never.
That's just it, though.
It's just one of those bands. I like them. I like to go to their live shows, but privately, I don't listen to their music because it's not really.
There's a lot of bands like that. I think if you're doing something fun and it's not necessarily like the most technical music in the world, because as a metalhead, at least at our age, like, we're not really caring about what's true anymore or what's this or what's that, because we see through all that now. It's all bullshit. It's just marketing. But if you're doing something fun that gets the audience interested and they love going to your show because you're a fun band, dude, more power to you. I can't look down on you for that. I'll probably go to your show because it's a blast, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
And then you have bands that do kind of the fun thing, the interesting thing that gets the crowd going, and it's funny, right? There's a funny aspect to it, but also has really good musicianship behind it and great songwriting. And that's always impressive to me. Like, if you can be a band that's funny, and does goofy things on stage, and your music is also top notch and well done, bravo. Like, we need more of that. Of that.
Yeah.
Because there's some, like what was the tagline for our band for the longest time? There's enough serious metal bands out there. You cannot be serious.
That was the tagline.
You can still be serious and make fantastic metal at the same time, Yeah. It doesn't always have to be dark, dreary, and evil, even though I love that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love that stuff. But if I go to a show And Mike, how many times has this happened, dude? How many times have you gone to a show wanting to see a band and you're like, oh, thank God, I finally get to see this band live. And you go see them and they stand on stage in one spot and half the time just fucking stare at their instruments and don't move. Like this drives me fucking crazy. Guys, I paid to come see your show. And shows are not cheap nowadays, right? If it's a big band. So you pay money to go see this band. Dude, if you're going to stand on the stage and stare at your fucking instrument and not interact with the crowd at all, I could have just stayed home and listened to your fucking album.
Exactly. That's how I see it too.
Quit boring the fucking audience to death. It drives me crazy. Like, I'm not going to say the festival, but just recently we played at festival. There's a lot of bands that were on the ticket that just had no showmanship whatsoever. Like, stood there and played their guitars and stared at the audience. And I was like, why? What the fuck is this? I'm losing my patience for bands that don't have showmanship and don't interact with the audience and are not, like, somewhat animated. Right? Like, I'm not going to go to your show. I'll never see you again. If I've seen you once and you didn't pique my interest because you were boring as fuck on stage, I'm not going to pay you for a ticket again.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just going to stay home and listen to music.
That's always the thing that a lot of bands, I don't know, a lot of bands just simply forget that, that when you go to a concert or when you go onto a stage somewhere, you're entertaining people, no? And you should, no, want to give the people something they can't, just by listening to a CD or on Spotify. So, I mean, for me, it was always a no-brainer to put on a show. And even if that basically just means headbanging for an hour and hopping around on stage like an idiot, for example.
It's better than what 90% of the bands do,
Yes, exactly. So it's like, you don't have to go like we do it, like we dress up as zombies. Yeah, we make up these fictional characters for our band, and we throw cornflakes at people and do all that stuff. I mean, the entire zombie makeup thing is a lot of work to get done or whatever. You don't
but it's worth it.
It's worth it,
totally
of course. And I'm not saying that you have to do something like that, or you have to do shit like Powerwolf or Rammstein or, where they put these big things on. I'm just talking about the show itself, not the music. That's what I'm talking about. Not the music, just the show.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go like that extreme and do that. It's just enough if you like headbang, if you really have a great time on stage, look at people and animate people to also have a great time. Because that's what a show would be. No?
Right.
But
otherwise,
you have
this
this among big bands and exactly. You have this up on big bands and small bands where they just go on stage, play their songs, and then they leave the stage. That's boring.
Yeah.
That's just fucking boring because at that point, just like you said, I could just stay at home and listen to Spotify.
Right. And then the thing that I don't get too is it seems like a no-brainer, right? But the bands that usually get booked the most and do really well, and you can literally look at it. The statistics are there and the numbers are there. The ones that do well and get booked all the time and get to go do things are the ones that animate the crowd. It's true. So if I look at, let's take like Trollfest, for instance, right?
Yeah.
So those guys have a fantastic, silly show. It's ridiculous. They dress ridiculously. Everybody on stage looks like they're having a fucking blast. And then on top of that, the music is top notch. Like, these guys really know what they're doing. And I've never actually sat and listened to all of their albums back to back because, quite honestly, the music is great, but it's really silly. I want to see them. Like, that's a band that I'm like, I can listen to them here, but God damn it, I would rather see them live because they're so good. And so you would think that this would catch a little bit with some of the more modern bands that are standing on stage and staring at their instruments and not interacting with the crowd. Like, if you want to do well, and your goal as a musician is to play live, at least for me, like, it's to play live because being on stage and having fun on stage is probably one of the best feelings I've ever had. Like, when we're up there, we're enjoying it. Like, there's not a second that goes by that we're not happy being on stage. And if you don't look like that, people are going to be really bored by your shows and not book you. You're also not going to draw the amount of people because the only appeal for a band that stands there, doesn't move, doesn't animate the audience for people to go to your show is if you're just like this prolific, dark band who's very serious. But even then, those guys don't get booked that often and that much. Not as much as silly bands do. So I don't know. I just a note to all other metal bands out there: animate the crowd a little bit. get them interested, be a little bit more enthusiastic on stage, and you'll probably do really well.
Yeah, I think that's the point where we can pretty much wrap up the metal section and get into the movie. No?
How many minutes are, shit, we're already 30 minutes into this. Okay. Well, that's the thing
Yeah.
though, Mike. I can sit here and talk about metal all day.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the metal and horror movies and video games. It's also what I could talk about the whole day. But
we'll have to take some like audience notes and be like, hey guys, do you think we don't talk enough about metal, or do you want us to talk more about metal? Because quite honestly, like I can sit there and talk about metal all day, but I can also sit there and talk about horror movies all day. Like the two are very interchangeable to me.
Yeah,
because I'm passionate about what.
I mean, if you like the podcast, just let me know. Follow us on Spotify and YouTube. And if there's anything you'd like to see, you might see us more talk about metal or specific metal bands, or if any wishes on horror movies we should talk about, just write down in the comments.
Yeah, we might actually swap out a movie that you decided with the movie that we have as a placeholder on the calendar. So if there's a movie you guys want to see, let us know. I mean, we wanted to do like at least 10 episodes before we start inviting guests on. As you know, like one of the things we want to do and we're going to do is invite other heavy metal artists to come in, talk about their favorite movie, go through the movie with us and tear it apart. And then also talk about, how horror movies have influenced any of their songs or any of their music, that kind of thing. So there's going to be a lot more metal as the time goes by, but stick around. And I think you're probably going to be pretty surprised who's on the show. Like, it's tough to keep my mouth closed because I know what's coming. You know what I mean? But it's good for us to kind of set a rhythm for our show and kind of figure out exactly what the layout is. Because we do this because we love it. Yeah. We do this because we love it. If we get popular, great. I don't really give a shit. But, I mean, one of my favorite things to do now that I'm retired and don't have to do anything else is sit around and talk about metal and horror movies. So that's why we're doing this. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So Dawn of the Dead, right?
Yeah.
Initial reaction to this film, I saw it when I was stationed in Wiesbaden, Germany back in 2004, right? So I saw it in the theater.
Me too.
And if I remember correctly, I can't remember if 28 Days Later came out first or after, but this was the first zombie film I'd seen in a theater ever.
For me as well, yeah.
Yeah. I realized that when I was watching it. I was like, you know what? I think this is the first zombie film I ever saw in the theater. And I remember it stuck with me for that long. 2004 is a long time ago. But it stuck with me for that long that this movie was one of the good ones. And I knew that when you mentioned that we wanted to do this one, I was like, oh yeah, I really like that fucking movie.
Yeah, it was, because it's a great movie. It was actually, there were two things that got me into zombies. Of course, it was Dawn of the Dead and Resident Evil.
Right.
It was actually when I was a teenager. It was just like me, I've been into werewolves and vampires since I was 8. But it was not until I think I might have been 17. No, I was past a teenager. I was in my early 20s, I guess.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, I got into zombies through Resident Evil, the video games. Later on, what made me a real zombie fan was this movie, Dawn of the Dead. That is what got me into zombies fully as a fan.
Okay. For me, zombies were a thing in college. I mean, I had a college roommate who I think I may have seen Night of the Living Dead before the university, but when I got to the university, my roommate was a zombie fanatic. And even more so, he was a George A. Romero fanatic. So every day, no fail, it was one of the movies playing, and we would just sit around and watch it. And I think I've seen the original movies at least 100 times each. Surprisingly, though, Dawn of the Dead was not my favorite of them. Day of the Dead was. The original. Day of the Dead is the one where they're in the bunker, kind of like way out of the way. I want to say it's in the woods, but it's probably not in the woods, but they've bunkered in and they're underground.
Exactly, the bunker thing.
The only people that are left are a couple of military that are in charge, and then a civilian woman, her boyfriend, and a few other people.
Yeah.
But by far, that movie had the highest amount of gore and laughs of any of the films.
True. Yeah.
Like it wasn't like online with like Evil Dead 2 comedy, but there were a lot of funny things in that movie, as well as over the top gore. And Tom Savini is a master of gore. Like the guy, his special effects, his practical effects, there is not anyone else that does it quite like him.
Yeah.
I love his practical effects. Which, by the way, he makes a cameo in this film. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. So there's a scene at the beginning where somebody's watching the TV and there's this sheriff who comes on the TV and he's basically wrangling the zombies in this town. And he's kind of an Italian looking guy with like a dark beard and sunglasses, and he's like, "Oh, we got a Twitcher over here."
God, that's it. Yeah.
That's Tom Savini. That's Tom Savini.
Great.
He's the guy who did all the effects for the original films.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. Now, yeah, exactly. Now you remember. Yeah.
Yeah, normally he inserts himself into every movie. Like he has a cameo in every movie that he does practical effects for. So, and I couldn't remember where it was, but he doesn't do the practical effects for this film. He just does a cameo because he was the special effects guy for all the other movies. Anyway, so this movie, the very beginning, has the quickest chaos that I've ever seen of any horror film. Like not just zombie film, but horror film.
Yeah.
The film opens up and it hits you in the face and it keeps going. Like there is no, let's set up characters. Let's try to tell everybody, the audience, about who everybody is. No, it's just immediate. And I fucking love that.
Yeah. You know, actually, that too. But what's also cool is the chaos starts super fast. But what a lot of people don't notice is that there are multiple things where you can already see before chaos begins that something's happening. Like it starts out in the hospital, where with this nurse talking to her doctor, and he's a fucking dick or whatever. And then she goes down to the hallway because now she's ending her shift. And then the lady on the desk says, "Oh yeah, remember?" She asks about how the guy is going. He's like, "Oh yeah, he's almost dead," or blah blah blah. And then she looks at him like, "What?" She looks at him like, "What, from a bite?" That is I don't know if you got that, no?
I did,
but
yeah.
That is the first time it's hinted, and then you have a lady being brought into the emergency room, no, with a bite on her neck. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
And then she gets into her car and is driving home, and you hear like in the radio, "This is not an isolated event," and then she just turns off and listens on to the. So that's the interesting thing, how extremely fast, no, they already set up that something's happening, but it's not everywhere because she's more in the suburban area. Now, so however, she goes at home, meets her husband, no? And they, we're watching a little bit of TV, and then they go have a shower, and then start to bang, and then go to bed. And shortly before, I don't know what her name is, blonde girl, before she comes home, she has this small interaction with the neighborhood girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then goes into her apartment where basically she does things with her husband.
Yeah.
And then they wake up the next morning. It appears to be a super normal morning, no? And you see the little girl standing somewhere in the hallway. Guy, I don't know his name.
Shadowy little girl.
What?
A shadowy little girl.
A shadowy little girl. However,
you kind of just see her profile and that's it. But it's enough you can tell that something's a little bit off.
Exactly. However, this guy just wakes up and says something to her, "What's on?" And then he sees her. Then she steps into the light and you see her face. Okay, she's a zombie. No?
Yeah.
But this is also a thing in a lot of zombie movies. It's not always done. These things only work if people have no fucking idea what a zombie is. No?
Yeah.
Yeah, for example.
That's one of the things I was going to say. Is that you have to go into zombie films thinking that zombies are not a thing. And I had actually forgotten that. When I wrote you a text earlier, I was like, why has nobody figured this out? You're like, that's because nobody knows about zombies, Matt.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing is,
I always forget that because George A. Romero's movies don't exist and zombies don't exist. Yeah. Because there's been so many fucking zombie movies. You're like, I'm like, obviously she's a zombie, and obviously this guy's going to turn into one because he's been bitten. They don't fucking know that because it doesn't exist in this universe.
Exactly. That's the point. However, the girl attacks the husband, bites him in the neck, no? And then in that moment, blonde girl gets up and he's like, "What the fuck is happening?" No? Shit's going down. She rips her off throws her into the hallway, and then the girl looks at her with this typical zombie menacing face, no? Instantly jumps up and runs out and she closes the door, no? And of course, then her husband is on the bed and he's bleeding to death and she's totally fucking panicking because she has no fucking idea what to do. She's jacked up and now her husband is dying. Yeah. And then she's trying to call somebody on the phone. And while she's on the phone, her husband gets back up as a zombie. No? And then attacks her. No? And then
so of course, I looked back.
I looked
back at movie facts, right? Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
I looked back at movie facts about this movie. The opening scene was refilmed after the rest of the film was already done
Yeah.
because they didn't feel like it was enough of a cold opener. They wanted it to start fast and furiously, which is why the time from when the husband gets bitten until he turns into a zombie is literally seconds, right? So I don't know if you noticed that, but he gets bit by his daughter, and literally, I think you can count 30 seconds. 30 seconds, he's already a zombie. That's the only time we see that in this film. Everybody else has a decent gap of time from the time that they get bitten until the time that they turn into a zombie.
Yeah, but you also Yeah, but you also have to say it depends on multiple factors. Let's say if it's a virus or a microbe. No? How fast somebody gets sick is literally different from person to person. Now, this guy, one of the reasons why he came back so fast is he got literally big in his neck. And you'll die with it very, very fast if you have like your neck ripping open. So that's why because he died so extremely fast was also the reason why he came back so extremely fast. Because usually, always in this movie, Matt, when people die, it literally only takes a matter of seconds before they come back as a zombie.
So you think it depends on how fast they die? Okay. Well, if you look at it that way, then it makes sense.
No. I mean, the thing is the infection, because it is clearly some type of an infection, and an infection affects people differently. No, because I mean, if you throughout the movie, every time somebody turns, literally every single time, they come back as a zombie seconds after they die. Every time. So it's kind of like the rule is in this movie, if you get bit by a zombie, you're infected, and you will come back immediately after you die. Yeah. So but also, however, then
well, that makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's also a lot of thing that a lot of movies do, where a lot of people are like, yeah, that's unrealistic because this guy dies, becomes a zombie within seconds, and the other, it takes like days or whatever.
Yeah.
That is actually not as unrealistic as you think. Because if you see like diseases, flu, cold, or whatever, when somebody gets infected by some kind of disease, depending on the amount of microbes you got into your system, depending on your body physiology, depending on where you got infected, you will get sicker faster, or it will take longer. If you inject yourself directly with a virus, directly into your bloodstream, for example, it will not take long before you get sick.
Right.
But if you take it through food or whatever, it'll take longer because it first has to go into your stomach. Then the microbes or viruses from that point on will go into your intestines and then spread through the body because that's where it'll get into the bloodstream. That's just like how kind of diseases affect people differently. And if we then say like a lot of zombie shows, it's a virus, that's kind of how you always see all of these people, it taking longer or shorter before they become zombies, because that is a major factor. What a lot of people never actually think about.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, okay. So the thing happens with her and her husband. She gets out and jumps in her car immediately, right? And then her husband comes out and jumps on the top. Whoa, did I miss something?
No, because she locks herself in the bathroom first.
Right. Okay, yeah. What, does she try to get out the bathroom window? Is that what I remember?
She locks herself into the bathroom, and then first she locks herself in the bathroom, and then just sit down and falls into the bathtub and is sitting there a few seconds, totally panicking, like, what the fuck is happening now? And for a short second, her husband, that's now a zombie, stops banging at the door, and she kind of gets towards the door, I don't know, I guess hoping that everything's okay again or whatever, or maybe just like, just like lost it shortly. And then he busts through the door, and you see his head busting through the door. And then she runs back, opens up the bathroom window, and crawls out of the bathroom window. And then she runs out through their yard into the street, and there you see like absolute fucking chaos.
Yeah.
Absolute
you have to wonder how long it took for all that stuff to happen, because I feel like if they were in their beds sleeping, if what we see outside was going on when they were sleeping, they would have heard it. So in my own head about this movie, I'm like, this stuff that we're seeing, this chaos that's outside, because houses are on fire, things have exploded, people are laying dead in the street. I'm like, this probably happened in about 2 minutes, because they would have heard this sleeping in their bed, definitely.
Probably.
You know?
Problem. Of course. Yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah, it's kind of dumb because they probably it definitely probably would have woken them up. Probably,
Yeah.
like I said.
But
Yeah,
just for the sake of the movie, we'll ignore that.
yeah.
She goes outside, gets in her car. Husband jumps on the top of the car, tries to break in. She drives away. He chases her, but he stops his chase really quick when he notices there's a person standing in their yard having a cup of coffee watching all this.
Yeah, and then he just starts going running after her.
I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing, man? Like, because you see him chasing her car just like furiously because he wants to eat her, right? And then he stops and he looks to the right as he's running, and there's this dude standing in his front yard with a cup of coffee, like watching this fucking chaos. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with that guy? Not a good time to have a cup of coffee and stare at what's going on. Jesus Christ. Like, that guy won the Darwin Awards at the very opening of the film. Like,
Yeah, he won the he won the Darwin Awards, definitely.
won the Darwin Awards. Like, so note to everybody, if there's something terrible going on in your neighborhood, things are on fire, people are laying dead in the street, and there's zombies running around, you might not want to have your morning cup of coffee on the lawn. Anyway, so that's the last time we see the husband. She takes off in the car, drives past all this chaos. I think we get a bird's eye view of her car as well, driving down the highway. And off to the right of her, a gas station explodes, and it's just gigantic fireball. I mean, the movie starts out brilliantly. Like, exactly how you would want a zombie film to start out. Just absolute chaos, and it hits you in the face the whole time until she meets the cop. Ving Rhames is the actor's name.
Yeah.
You guys will know him from Pulp Fiction. He's Marcellus Wallace. He's probably, at least at this time, one of my favorite actors because he was in so many movies and he plays this role perfectly, but he plays the same role in every film he's in. Yeah. He's the very big, scary, serious black guy. He's perfect for this film.
Yeah, he is. He's great. He's a great character as well. Yeah. You have like where you have like she's driving this bird view where she's driving through the streets, no, and then she stops in front of a bus for some reason, I don't know why, no, and then you see like a naked girl that's kind of like totally fucking, I guess, on drugs or space out of her house, whatever. For I don't know why.
I didn't understand it either, man.
Yeah. For me, that was also like, why a naked girl?
Maybe they didn't think they were going to get an R rating.
Yeah,
I mean that's possible, you know. If they threw that in there, they're like, we might as well throw in some titties for good measure because nobody's going to see this.
Yeah, it could be. And then you see like people being eaten. You see like this one girl being attacked by multiple zombies in a bus, no? And then a guy comes out, wants to rip her out of the car, and she's fighting.
Yeah, I didn't understand that part.
What?
I didn't understand that part. That guy was like almost violent. Like he ran up wanting to yank her out of the car, and I don't know if it's because he wanted to take the car. At first, I was like, "Is this guy a zombie?" And then I was like, "Wait, he's not a zombie. He just wants to tear her out of the car."
No,
because he probably wanted to take her car. Yeah.
He tried to steal a car. However, she fights him off, gets in the gas, and runs off the street and hits a fucking tree. And then that's where the opening credits start. No.
Yeah.
Okay, don't have to get into them as much. However, she gets out of her car, and then you have like the cop pointing a gun at her. No.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "Say something." And then she says...
Yeah, he's like, say something, anything, please.
Yeah, please, anything. And then she said, please. And he's like,
and
yeah,
so...
okay.
Yeah, okay. And then they're automatically together at this point, you know? Because you see scenarios like this, and the oddest... Like, even in real life, the oddest people stick together. Like, people who would probably not normally talk to each other or would even give each other a second glance. Like, you are now automatically partnered up with that person and you're protecting each other. And I like that dynamic because there's nothing said here. Nothing. Like, he gets up with his gun and walks away and she just follows him. And now they're together.
No, but you have to say, for a short second, he stops, looks at her, and then kind of looks at her in a way where it's kind of like, yeah, come with me, more or less.
Yeah, it's an unspoken thing.
It's an unspoken thing. It's just like, you see, like, specifically with this thing happening on, you know, everybody's like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, you can clearly see that something's wrong with these people. They don't know that they're zombies yet.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you see, like, normal people around, you're automatically going to stick up with them. I think it's kind of a survival thing. Yeah. That a lot of people are going to have in him. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, plus he's got a gun and he's a huge guy. I mean,
yeah, that as well. Yeah. You should not be.
It's the perfect scenario if you're looking to stay alive.
Yeah.
Obviously stick with this guy. And he's a cop. So he's got, well, I'm not going to say combat experience. We know later he's got combat experience because he's got a U.S. Marine Corps tattoo on his arm. But you're like, okay, so this guy's been trained to serve and protect. He's a huge guy and he's got a shotgun. I'm going to stick with it. And so they do, and they wander off. You don't know for how long, like there's not a time frame on this, but eventually they come to kind of an overpass and they're in the tunnel under the overpass and they're walking through and all of a sudden shots ring out and 2 bullets hit above the cop's head on the wall. And you're like, oh shit, they're being shot at. And it's 3 other people that are not zombies and they're standing on the other side of the overpass. And the one guy's like, oh, don't shoot him. He's a cop. He's a cop. And so they stop shooting and then they meet up. And you find out it's, one white guy and then a black guy and his Russian girlfriend. Russian girlfriend is pregnant, like severely pregnant, not just like halfway along, like she's ready to pop, right?
Yeah.
And so there's like a brief exchange between these two. Ving Rhames' character wants to go to where his brother is at, which is another town very far from where they are.
Yeah.
And those guys tell him, hey, the way to get there is completely blocked. It's full of zombies. We were just there. And when we were there, we were 8 people. Now we're 3. So we're going to go to the mall. And Ving Rhames is like, yeah, okay, cool. So he follows them with the girl and they go to the mall. Which, by the way, this is exactly how the original film goes. Like, for the most part, this is exactly how the original film goes.
Actually, from a strategic position, actually, it's actually the best place you could lock yourself in.
You've got everything.
Yeah,
you've got food, you've got clothes, you got water, you got everything.
Yeah, and all malls have an emergency generator.
Right. It's the perfect situation. Which, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, we're in Germany, it would probably be a little bit of a different situation here. But in America, everybody within a 200-mile radius would be thinking of the mall.
Yeah.
Or Walmart.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. So, which is kind of weird, right? Because they get to this mall and there's fucking nobody there. There's nobody there. It's just the fucking security guards that are there. And then.
Yeah, well.
And I would be thinking that there'd be a shitload of people already there trying to get in. Yeah, this is early in the morning, right?
I wouldn't say so. Because this is pretty much around 7, 8 p.m. And you don't know, maybe it's a Saturday or Sunday. I don't know. I mean, it's different in Europe, because...
I was thinking this was the morning.
What?
I was thinking this was the morning. This is the evening when all this happened?
Yeah, 7. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry. A.M.
Yeah.
I said p.m. My mistake.
Yeah, okay.
My mistake.
Yeah, 8 a.m.
The most people are probably going to be at work or somewhere, so you might not have that much people. And the thing is, you do not know exactly what was going on in the mall. Maybe actually this is a holiday or whatever, or I don't know. No? But you can
it's National Zombie Day.
What? National Zombie Day, exactly.
National Zombie Day.
Yeah. Yeah, so when it comes to the mall theming, specifically in Europe, a lot of Europeans probably don't see this scene the way Americans do, no? Because very often in Germany, for example, very often the malls don't open up until like 8 or 9 o'clock, And if this is really that early in the morning, of course nobody's going to be there because they're not open yet. And if it's on a Sunday, it's not going to be open at all.
Not open at all.
Because in the most European countries, no stores are open on Sundays.
Yeah.
They're not. They just don't open up. No? Not even the malls. No?
Yeah, well for that matter, Saturdays as well. Like there's a lot of places that don't open on Saturdays either, which blows my mind. But that's Europe.
That's true.
That's one of the things that I had to get used to when I first got here was the difference in when things are open and the fact that there's barely anything that's 24 hours. Like it's not the same as in America at all. Like,
but personally, I do think that is way better. And I think because the thing is, something that I'm strongly against is the concept of stores being open up 24 hours, because the fact is, this is just automatically going to lead to a lot of people having to work way longer than it's actually healthy. No? Because let's be honest.
But I mean, if you look at the way it's done, though, man, like most of the things that are 24, actually all the things in America that are 24 hours are shift work. So there's people that still work for 8 hours, but they show up to replace everybody else. That's fine.
I know, but shift work itself is not healthy, Matt.
Yeah,
I mean, there are multiple studies that show that shift work is not healthy. No, but this is going off rails. However, they get into the mall.
that's
No,
okay.
yeah, because when they were trying to get in the mall, they're kind of banging at the door trying to get it open. You see a group of zombies coming by, and they start attacking them. And this is actually clearly a scene where it clearly shows that they have no fucking idea what zombies are, because they shoot them multiple times in the breast and they still kept running at them. And they're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is this shit? Yeah. Okay. Then they get into the mall.
That's the thing. It has not yet been established that you have to shoot them in the head.
Yeah, exactly. And then they get into the mall, they're checking things out, and what the fuck is going on, and blah, blah, blah. Then they sit down by the spring. Then the other two guys, Michael, I remember that guy's name, probably because it's my
name, yeah.
And then the black guy, they're like, okay, you go check that out. I'm going to go check that out. Make sure it's safe, and blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, hey,
yeah,
sir, to the cop, Michael says, like, could you go check out over there? He just stands holding the shotgun when looking at him like, yeah, go fuck yourself.
a man of few words. A man of few words.
Yeah. No, he didn't say anything. He just looked at him, and he had this look in his face, holding this big shotgun, like, fuck you.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not really sure I would tell Ving Rhames to do anything either. Like, guy looks dangerous as fuck.
Yeah. However,
I mean, so yeah.
You continue.
Well, it's hard for me to remember what happens here. They're kind of plodding along inside the mall. First, they throw like a toilet fixture through a window to get through into the mall.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, they throw that through the shopping window just so that they can get in. And then they're into the main part of the mall, and they're kind of looking around. Everything in the mall looks pretty normal. Like, there hasn't been any zombies here. Nobody's been attacked in the mall, probably because it is early and nobody was there. So it looks relatively safe, but there is nobody there, right? I think they talk a little bit, and then two of them go upstairs. No, it's the black guy and his wife and Ving Rhames take the elevator and go upstairs to the next floor to check it out. Right?
No, you forgot two things.
They're
before they go upstairs, they're attacked by two zombies.
Okay. that's right.
You forgot it.
Then one of them's wearing a security guard uniform.
Yeah, exactly. Because the security guard attacks the girls and cop, and then Michael finds another zombie pretty much in a store, pretty much a few meters up the way. He kills that zombie. The cop shoots the security. No. He loses his gun, and then blonde girl somehow shoots the security guard that is now a zombie. No? Exactly.
Right. He drops his shotgun, and then Ving Rhames is wrestling with the guy in the fountain, the dead security guard.
Yeah, well, what is going to come back? What's going to come back later on is that the Russian girl gets bit, the pregnant Russian girl.
Yeah, so I wanted to get in that a little bit later because I never saw her get bit.
The thing is, it happens. Because you have like the security guard coming up, running up to her, grabbing her arm, and you have like his mouth. No, he's pretty much near her arm, and then it cuts back. No, then it cuts away from them. So you don't.
So you never see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the thing is, at that point, if you see how the way it's filmed and how the way it's cut, you're not supposed to see her being bit because that's kind of supposed to be a surprise. No, something similar like this happens almost. Something similar to this almost happens towards the end. No, but we'll get into that later. However, then after that, there's zombies down here, so we have to get someplace safe.
Right.
Then they run into the elevator, like you said, and then go upstairs. Exactly. And then immediately when they get upstairs, they're caught off by 3 security guards pointing guns at them.
And every one of them, with the exception of one, is a total fucking idiot and an asshole.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's the youngest guy, no? But actually, CJ, that's the one guy. I like, even though he's an asshole, he's not an idiot. He's just an asshole in this moment, duh. But that is also one of my favorite characters, is CJ, duh. That's the chief. He's apparently the boss of the security guards, and these guys, I guess.
He's the guy with the beard who's in charge of security.
Yeah. And apparently these guys had night shifts when everything started to break out. And it could be also that these guys specifically locked everything down when they saw it going on.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Yeah.
I would. I mean, if it was me in the mall, I would have done the same thing they did.
Exactly. So I probably guess, I always assumed that these 3 guys were the reasons why the mall was locked down, but they just locked it down. Because, no? However, Then they
Yeah,
have
they
like
locked
a
it.
short discussion going on. They're like, please let us in and blah, 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 or whatever. No? And then he's like, oh no, tough luck, go back down, go fuck yourselves. Basically what CJ says, no? Because also a lot of people see him as just a fucking idiot asshole, but these are also 3 guys that are just fucking freaking out. No? This is a situation where everybody's fucking freaking out. No? And they have like these 3 guys that have managed to find the safe, secure area, and they're just totally fucking freaking out. And that's how, so that's kind of like, because you see later on in the movie, no? How CJ takes a totally different turn. And there are other, no? Situations that's going to happen pretty much, no? Where you can actually see that CJ is not really a bad guy. No? Because eventually the girl convinces him to let them in, and then they sit down and watch basically over the screen what's going on in the news or whatever. No? And this is actually what I always like when in movies, actions say more about a character than words do. Because when they sit the people down, CJ lets them in, no? And then the other people like, oh my god, I have to go to the toilet for the pregnant woman. And CJ's just acting like a complete fucking dick, but he doesn't deny it. He says, here, you go over with her to the toilet. He doesn't deny it. And then he sits back down. And he's acting like an asshole and idiot the whole time, CJ. And then the blonde girl says, hey, he's bleeding out and he's going to die if you don't do anything. And he's like, he throws the key at the other guy. Well, there's a go first aid kit. Go get it. So this is actually a point where a lot of people miss. But straight up to begin with, when I saw the movie the first time, I knew instantly that this is not really a bad guy. Because even though he's acting like complete fucking dick, he's still helping them. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you're meant to dislike him.
Yeah.
You're meant to dislike him because the first time you see him, he puts a gun in their face and is like, no, get the fuck out. Like, I'm not helping you.
Yeah.
Eventually he lets him stay, but he does not stop being an asshole. Like, he's an asshole, but he's helpful. Like, he's like, okay, these guys are here to stay. They're not infected. There's no harm in them staying, but still, I'm going to run everything because I'm in charge.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's okay. In situations like that, you kind of have to be that way. And I gave him the benefit of the doubt because when things are crazy like that, somebody has to be that person.
Yeah.
So he had already decided he was going to be that person. That's fine.
Yeah, and this is also the thing. And then there's another thing that comes up. Michael comes straight up to him and says, blah, blah. We have to kind of secure this place because sooner or later those things are going to get in and blah, blah, blah. We should barricade things or whatever. And then CJ says, yeah, you're right. We should do that. And it's like every single time somebody suggests something to him, no, he doesn't tell them to go fuck themselves. No, he's listening. He's like, yeah, okay, I think we should do that. So that's actually, even though he's a fucking asshole, that's straight up to begin with, what instantly also made me like him. Because he's an asshole, but his actions say more about his character than anybody else in this specific scene.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
The only one that I truly don't like is the younger guy.
What?
The only one that I truly don't like is the younger guy. So there's 3 of them, right? There's that guy, and then there's a younger guy who's a complete fucking idiot. The guy with the buzzed head, and he's younger, and he seems oblivious to what's going on, probably because he's a moron. And then the other guy who's actually a really good dude, right?
You mean the bald one that's like
the
that's
younger
talking
guy,
about banging a fat chick or whatever, no?
Yeah, like he is just completely somewhere else in his head the whole time. Like he is thinking about, hey, it would be cool if this happened. Or hey man, these were my plans tonight and this is what I was gonna do. And his buddy has to snap him out of it and be like, hey, dude, everyone's dead. Everyone's dead. The girl you're talking about at Dairy Queen that you want to bang, she's dead. Your parents are dead. Everyone's dead. Where the fuck are you in your head right now? That's the guy I don't like. I don't like that prick.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But he plays
that guy's an idiot. No, but shortly before they go to bed, they go up onto the ceiling. No, or onto the roof. No, it's stupid why I said that. And then they see basically these zombies coming towards here. No, and this is where we're introduced to Andy. No, that's the guy living like, I don't know, 200 meters away from them, has locked himself in his own house. And this guy's happy enough to own a fucking gun store. No? Yeah, so that's, And however, then there's a short discussion on what's going.
It's a brilliant situation.
Yeah. And however, then they have the short discussion. Why are they all coming here? And then the black guy throws in multiple suspicions why it possibly could be. No? And then they basically go back down. Then asshole has a discussion with nice guy, what Matt just explained, where he had to snap him out of it. You do it, everybody's dead. Then they go to bed. No? Okay, before CJ locks them up in the room because he doesn't want them stealing anything. Like that fucking matters at this point. But
I mean, yeah, I didn't understand why that was an issue. I think more than anything, he doesn't want them unsecuring anything, right?
Probably, yeah.
I don't think he wants them unsecuring anything.
Yeah, however, and he doesn't trust them, no?
Yeah.
However, then they go to bed, no? And then the security guards wake up the next morning, and CJ says, go make us some coffee. So he goes out to make them some coffee, no? And then the blonde girl knocks on the door and says, blah, 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 there's no toilet here, whatever. And then the nice guy just has empathy with them, and he just opens up the door, even though he's not supposed to, no?
Right.
Yeah, so then they all get out, no? And they're washing themselves, going on the toilet or whatever. And shortly in the night, the night before they got up, there was this discussion between Michael, the black guy, and the cop, no? Because Michael is running around making multiple suggestions about what they should do and blah, blah, blah. CG is going to get us killed, no? Just kind of like, actually what made him sympathetic because he was the logical character that's just trying to analyze everything, observing everything, and figure out what to do, more or less, no?
Right.
And there's the black character, no, the black guy. I didn't like him, straight up to begin with, no?
Yeah, no, I never liked this guy. And it has nothing to do with the fact that he's black. I just want to throw it out there.
No, absolutely not.
I
don't like him because
fucking asshole. Yeah.
Yeah, he's straight up a fucking asshole. And for no reason at this point, because Michael makes multiple suggestions, and he's literally just analyzing the situation, trying to make suggestions, and this guy gets up and is like, who made you the boss? And what did you do to use a military guy? And he's like, yeah, well, I sell TVs at Best Buy. And then all of a sudden, the black guy starts to laugh and is like, hey, Cub, what do you think about following a guy that sells TVs? And then he's sitting there like, just as much as I think about following a guy who steals them.
And I love this dynamic, and I don't know if a lot of people caught that when they watched it, but he's a cop, and he's a local cop.
Yeah.
So the chances are he knows that this guy is a thief because he's been booked before.
Yeah, probably. Right? Yeah.
And so that shuts that guy down so quick. Like he doesn't try that shit anymore in this movie.
Yeah.
Not once.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, all right. This guy knows my background. He knows I'm a piece of shit. I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah, however, then, of course, then you hear shooting. No, then they all run up to the roof. And then CJ and Asshole are looking to see what's happening. And then the others come up. And she's like, what the fuck is this shit? Why are you guys out? And blah, blah, blah. No? Then then at that point, they probably already knew that Mr. Nice Guy let them out. No? And then you see like this truck driving in or whatever. No? And then like, oh my God, we have to help them. You know, Michael and the blonde girl like that. And she's like, fuck no. Fuck this shit. Fuck no, I'm not doing this. How the hell do we know if they're normal? And then the blonde girl's like, well,
and she's like, they're driving a truck.
Car, and they're shooting guns. I love that scene.
But see, here's the thing though. Yeah. She was wrong. She was wrong as fuck. Because yes, they were normal because they were driving a truck and shooting, but they brought 2 infected people with them.
Exactly.
Right. So EJ was not completely wrong at all. Like
he wasn't. Yeah,
he was thinking logically here. Everybody else was thinking with their heart.
Of course, the thing is, they were both kind. I mean, the thing is, he was thinking logically, and he was right. No? However, everything works out at the end. But this is the thing, because they have a real big discussion, because Michael and Blonde Girl want to help them, of course, and CJ doesn't. No? And then CJ totally freaks out and panics and starts pointing the gun at everyone, because he's full panic mode. You can clearly see that CJ just can't think straight because he's panicking. No? And then, however, somehow Michael and the black guy overwhelm CJ and Asshole. No?
Yeah, they overcome them and take their guns away, yeah.
And then Mr. Nice Guy immediately also goes on to the other people's side and says, because he throughout this point, he pretty much agreed with them on everything, you know? And however, then they help the people that are in this truck to get into the mall, and then they have like everybody coming in or whatever. At this point, they lock away CJ and the Asshole in a room they had. And then they're bringing everybody in or whatever. And then they have like this one big fat woman being brought in by a wheelbarrow. Fucking hilarious stuff. And they have like other people walking in.
And here's my thing. Here's what I was thinking at this point. Like when they wheeled her in the wheelbarrow, who that was there in their right mind thought that she was not infected? Like they're just wheeling her in. She's like covered, her veins are sticking out of her body. Her skin is turning black. Like, she's obviously infected.
Yeah.
Nobody raises an eyebrow to that whatsoever.
Yeah. That.
Like, nobody says anything.
Yeah. The thing is, yeah, because
I mean, it's blatantly obvious.
it's stupid,
right?
It's completely obvious. But this is also a thing you can say. These people not only they don't realize that something's going down with these zombies outside, but they don't know what they are yet. They also have no idea exactly how it works.
Right.
Somebody gets bit, they get sick, and then they come back. No, they're not entirely sure how everything works at this point. So, no,
But
it's kind of like, you can clearly see
she already looks like a zombie.
Exactly.
Looks like a zombie, dude. That part just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, at this point, this is like, she already looks like one of them. Yeah, you're right at that point. However, they bring everybody in, nurse is looking after everyone, and blah, blah, blah. And then eventually the fat lady turns, this is how they actually find out how the entire dying and coming back thing works, because the fat woman dies, and then the nurse checks her pulse, she's dead, or whatever, and also saw apparently that she was probably bit, and then they kill the fat lady because she's a tax blonde girl.
Okay.
Shortly after this, everybody's like, oh, fucking holy shit, or whatever. And shortly after this is where they have the discussion about how somebody gets turned, because they're sitting down, everything has calmed down, everything is safe, they got the people in, or whatever. And then you have, like, shortly before, you have, like, the group of people talking, and you have, like, this one guy named Steve that's a complete fucking asshole. And this is the thing. I would have shot
Steve is the character that James Gunn created. I'm telling you right now, because everything that comes out of this guy's mouth is hilarious.
Yeah, it is. But the thing is, even if in this situation, I would have shot that guy immediately, instantly. No, I mean really. I mean Matt, really, because the thing is, I mean,
why?
If I'm in a zombie LARP, I do also zombie LARPs, no? And I have literally at zombie LARPs, when I see characters like that, I pull out a gun and shoot them in the head immediately. Because even though these zombie LARPs are kind of like similar situations, I know exactly that guy is going to get everybody killed. You know that straight up to begin with.
Yeah, okay, but look. I don't know if you're being serious right now, or if you're just joking around, but like there's in my mind, there's no scenario where you could just pop somebody in the head and kill him dead just because you think they're going to get everybody else killed. I mean, the guy is obviously an asshole, right? Because if that was the way it was, Mike, if that was the way it was, the last 24 years when I was a soldier and the 2 times that I was at war, I would have had to have popped like 90% of the population in the head. One of them is going to get me killed because they're all fucking morons. I get what you're saying, though. I don't like the guy's face. I don't like his fucking attitude. And he's not going to contribute anything to the team because he's a yuppie. I mean, he's obviously a yuppie. He's some spoiled rich kid with a boat who's like, hey, where's the Perrier water? Is there Perrier water here? Like, the guy's a fucking scumbag.
Yeah, I agree with you. But the funny thing is about him, the funny thing about his jokes are actually pretty fucking funny because the cop comes in.
He's the comic relief. He's the Anthony Daniels.
Does your truck still work? Yeah. He's like, does your truck still work? Yeah. Can I borrow it? Well, we're not using it. So then he wants to go off. No. Visit his brother. No. And then Mike's like, no, you can't go. And then this Steve says like, well, it's nice to hear that you all bonded over this near-death situation. That's fun. I mean, his jokes are funny. You got to leave it to him. No.
Yeah, no, he's hilarious. He is the comic relief, and he's much needed in this film.
Yeah.
And the quips that he comes out with, the jokes that he comes out with, there isn't a moment where he opens his mouth that he says anything serious the entire film. Like, he doesn't. Everything that he says is a joke in some way and tied into something else that's happening. So I was happy his character was here, but I fucking hate him at the same time.
True. However, this is also okay. At this point, Steve tells the cop guy that the other city where his brother is gone. It was run over by zombies. So then the cop decides to stay there, and then they are having this short discussion on what to do exactly. What's going on? What's happening? How is it coming up? And then the blonde girl, the nurse, comes up and says, I think it's the bites. And then they're like, why? And then she explains it. So far, everybody that she saw got bit turned into one of them. You have this old fat lady. She was bit. She was dead. And she says, she was clearly dead. I felt her pulse. Yes. And then she came back. And in this moment, the black guy that knew that his girlfriend was bitten looks up. And it's like, this is like, yeah, I understand that he tried to keep her secret, but it's like at this point, I would have, that the guy's in a difficult position is understandable. And then they try to figure out talking about who has else been bitten. And then Matt Frewer is also in this movie. Yeah. He's here with his daughter. And then they know that he was bitten the hand. And then Michael's hitting up, well, we're going to have to kill him. And he's like, no, you can't do that. And Michael's like, well, the only thing we could do is he's going to wait and kill all of us. And he gets up and walks up. And then she looks at the cop and is like, do something. And he's like, he's right. I mean, yeah. And this is like,
he's absolutely right.
Yeah. And this is clearly the scene where everybody automatically accepted Michael as the leader, even the dangerous black guy, because you could literally see at this point that the cop, what's his name, Sam, whatever?
Ving Rhames. Ving Rhames is the actor. I'm going with the actor's name because, yeah.
You can see instantly in this scene that this is the scene where Ving Rhames absolutely accepts, okay, he's the boss. Automatically, without even a word. Yeah, you can see that Ving Rhames accepts him as the leader now.
Yeah, which is great because this guy has a very level head. Like, he's a very level-headed person.
Yeah, that's good. It's also important to have somebody like that in a situation like this.
Yeah, he's also not afraid to do the things that nobody else wants to do because clearly he's like, well, if that's the case, this guy is bitten, he's infected, he's going to turn into one of them, so I'm going to go shoot him, right? And everybody is not okay with that.
No, not everybody.
Not everybody's okay with that.
Yes, I mean, the nurse comes in, she gets ahead of Mike and says, I don't know what the guy's name is, Michael is coming here to kill you. Then his daughter starts to flip out. Now, did you see Michael see that?
Well, that's the other thing. His fucking daughter is there, right? So his daughter is there, and she obviously really cares about her dad because she's glued to him at the hip. And so you're just gonna go shoot this guy in front of his daughter? Like, this is this is the worst case of like deductive reasoning ever. Because like you cut out all the middle stuff, you see problem, solution, and then there's all these things that you have to consider in between. He doesn't do this at all. He's like, well, he's infected. I'm going to go shoot him in the head.
No, Matt, but you got that wrong. You got that wrong because he comes walking up towards Mike, towards the dad, and this is the scene where he sees the daughter and everything that's going on. And Michael freezes at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, you clearly see
that. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he at that point, it's just like he just doesn't run in and starts shooting at him. He runs in, sees how this daughter is worried about, and he freezes at that point. What is obvious. Yeah. Then, however, they somehow just convinced to put him in quarantine to see what happens.
Well, there's a great thing that happens in that scene, too, because blonde girl walks in with him, and she's like, you were bitten. He's coming to kill you. And he walks in with the gun, and he sees the daughter and the dad, and he realizes that it's not a good situation. It's probably not the best thing to do to shoot him in the head. And the girl goes, oh, he's infected. There's his daughter right next to him. Go ahead and shoot him. And while you're at it, why don't you shoot him, too?
Yeah,
the guy whose wife that just died. And he's like, hey, man, I wasn't even bitten.
And then she's like, oh, we can't be sure.
We can't be sure. Shoot him. I appreciate the comedy that was brought in as a good point of levity in this film in certain instances where it could have been a very serious scene, but I don't think that James Gunn can keep from inserting humor into things. And I love that. That's one of the things I love about James Gunn.
That's true. However, then they convince, then throughout the discussion, the nurse is like, oh, Michael, shoot him. Just shoot him. Okay, then, however, they put him in quarantine to basically see if actually they're right about the bites. No? And, of course, he dies, comes back as a zombie. No? And then he gets shot. The Ving Rhames, or whatever his name is, the cop,
shoots him in the head, yeah. So at that point, with that shot, everybody is clear that this is how it works.
Exactly.
This is the point in the movie where everybody's clear how it works, right? But isn't it also at this point where immediately after that shot, the black guy and his pregnant Russian girlfriend take off somewhere else because the baby's coming, right? Yeah.
Exactly. No, not immediately. After that follows a montage. No, about what everybody's doing. Everybody's forming relationships. They basically the entire character development, how these people go together. They show through this montage that's going to happen,
right?
Where you have like some cover version of Sickness. Yeah, exactly. Then shortly after that, they have like the blonde girl and two other people, an old lady and another younger blonde girl are talking about, I don't know, whatever's going on. And then you have like the black guy coming in and the nurse is like, hey, should I check on your girlfriend? No, he's like, no, everything's cool. And he wanted some lemon stuff, and then the other blonde girl says, "Yeah, Steve likes living his booze." Blah blah blah. A lot of blah blah.
Yeah,
blah.
it's a bunch of character development, and I'm not really so sure it was needed, but you kind of needed to see these people bond on some kind of level to show that they've been there for a little while. Because this montage could have been a couple of days. I don't know, or it might have just been that day. I don't know.
The montage could have been a couple of days, even weeks. I don't know, but probably only a couple of days because of the pregnant girl at this point has not yet turned. Now, however, then the nurse at this point you can see the montages that she's having the baby. She's already turned into a zombie. At this point, I'm sorry, but at this point, this is where the black guy just loses it. Now you can see he's lost his mind because at this point in this situation, no matter what happening, he should have just shot her. There's no way his wife would have survived. There's no way his kid would have survived. At this point, this guy is just no longer in reality. He's somewhere else. However, the nurse says, I think I want to go check on them and whatever. And then another character says, oh no, I'll go check on them instead. That way I can have a smoke.
Yeah, it's the older female that drove the truck.
The older female. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
then
she goes to find them and finds them.
Yeah. She goes in there, sees that his wife or girlfriend has become a zombie and he's holding a baby. She instantly just pulls out a gun and shoots, and she's like, you want to destroy my family? You want to kill my family? This is the point where Ike would have handled it differently.
Yeah, this scene didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. To be honest.
Nope, because this guy he's fully lost it. He's just fully no longer in reality.
Yeah.
However, she shoots his girlfriend that is now a zombie dead. He just pulls out the gun and starts shooting at her. No, this scene didn't really have to happen. I mean,
it didn't make any sense to me because if I think about, and keep in mind this is a horror film and things happen in horror films that probably wouldn't happen in real life, but different people are going to react differently, but if I walked in and saw this scene, I would have not pulled out my gun. I would have talked to him and I've been like, okay, your wife, girlfriend, whatever, is obviously a zombie. You are aware of that, right? And then the conversation would have gone on and then I would have been like, okay, is the baby that you're holding in your hands okay? Is it a normal baby or is it one of them, right? If she hadn't pulled out the gun at that moment to shoot the girlfriend, none of this would have happened.
Probably. Yeah, but it's also kind of like a reaction situation, no? This is like, if she would have instantly pulled out her gun, no? None of it would have happened. It would have been the smarter idea to just go out, lock the store down, and immediately tell everybody else to figure out what we're going to do. Yeah. No?
And then it could have been handled. Because then it would have been handled and nobody had to die, right?
Yeah. However, exactly. Unfortunately, these three characters die. The black guy and the older female, they shoot each other. Then everybody through the gunshots hears it, comes in. They see just like everybody dying or whatever. The old female is dead, and then they still have a short discussion. And then, go back, she's going to turn. And then the nurse is like, no, she wasn't bit, so probably not. And she says, if she was dead, if she was one of them, she would be up and running by now. No?
Yeah.
Okay, so then, however, they go up to check to see the baby, if everything is okay with it. And then,
So the part that you're about to go into right now, this turned me off from the movie because this was an excellent opportunity to do something that has not been done since Brain Dead in the 80s with the zombie baby. You remember Brain Dead? I think it's called Dead Alive in Europe. It has two different names.
Brain Dead. It's called Brain Dead.
Yeah, Brain Dead.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic movie that we're also going to have to do because that is one of my favorite fucking movies. Yeah. But there's a zombie baby in that film that is fucking hilarious. But it's also scary. They could have had kind of the same thing happen here where you had a zombie baby that was attacking people, but the moment was just wasted because they decided to shoot the baby in the head.
Yeah.
Like, you could have done so much with that, and if you had tried a little bit, people would still be talking about this film because of the zombie baby, but they just didn't do it. And I don't know if it was because of budget or if they didn't have the right props or whatever, but absolutely wasted opportunity. But okay, so they shoot the baby in the head too because they realize it's a zombie. All right. So baby's dead. where do we go from here? What happens next?
Yeah, well, here you see pretty much they've dragged out all the dead people, and they're doing kind of like a burial or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what else are you gonna do? Like,
Yeah, what else
they're
are you gonna do? Of course. And then they're talking like about like, okay, maybe we should say something or do something or whatever. And then he's like, yeah, what? Then they look at the one the old gay guy, no? And then they're like, hey, you work at the church? And he's like, it was just a job. I just played the orgel. Why should
He's
I say
like,
anything?
I just played the organ. I don't believe in God. I don't know how anybody could.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know too many. Like, I'm from the deep South in America. I don't know too many organ players that their specific job is to play the organ in the church that are also not Christians. But this guy's an atheist. He's like, yeah, it's just a job. I just, I play the organ for all these fucking church people. Like,
yeah. The thing is, you also have to see. There's also the thing is, the guy's gay. So he's probably not honest about a lot of things, obviously, because there's a lot of things he has to him that there's a lot of shit he's probably had to deal with, obviously, because he's gay. And so
yeah,
he was pretty much just like,
I don't know. It's another discussion altogether. It's another discussion altogether, but that whole like gay thing in the church is not actually a real thing. Like if he had said Catholic Church, then I would have been like, oh yeah, no, he's
yeah. But the thing is, who knows if he was openly gay?
Yeah,
I mean, right. It's not necessarily a religious thing, but there still are probably a lot of people that haven't come out, and this is specifically an older guy, so he was probably back in the 80s, 90s gay, and I think there's a lot of things. We don't want to outrail this discussion. However, then the cop comes in and makes a speech about how he's told to multiple wives and widows and family members, here my condolences and for the dying. But every time I thought, better than me. And then,
that is a very military attitude, though. I hate to say it, like that's kind of how we all think,
Yeah. But however, then he goes on. Then he continues like, but I don't think that now, because I know now there are things that are worse than death. No? And he says, one of these things is dying here. No? And then of course, this is the point where after this, they kind of have like this kind of eating or dinner thing going on. This might have happened even before the zombie baby thing, but
yeah.
Then the lights go out while they're having this dinner and bonding and talking together. They're like, oh shit, they start panicking. They're like, no, we have to, emergency generators went out. Right. Then they go let CJ and the asshole out. They go down to help them, no? Find the generators. At this point, they find out that there are a few zombies back down in the basement where the generators are.
They find a dog.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, they find a dog, and that's like this is like still the best character in the scene.
Good.
Yeah. However, then they have like the thing.
I said that exact thing. I said that exact thing to Chrissy when I was watching it. I was like, okay, there's my favorite character in the movie right there. Okay, cool. Yeah. We found, I think it's an Australian Shepherd, but he's a really like happy, cool Australian Shepherd. Yeah. I'm like, cool, they found a dog. Awesome. The movie's even better now.
Yeah, however, then of course there are zombies down there. The asshole gets killed, no? And then they run off to the emergency room. They have like actually go because they're being hunted by zombies. In the end, no? This is pretty much the scene where they decide to just let CJ out, because this is the thing where CJ has pretty much gotten over freaking out, panic or whatever. And right. Then they have this scene where they get the emergency, they put gasoline on all the zombies, then just burn them. No? Also a cool scene, I have to say. No?
A really cool scene. Yeah. But I noticed a few things about it, and it's probably just nitpicking, right? But it's a cool scene because you get to see a bunch of zombies burn. But at the same time, if you set that fireball off downstairs underneath a mall, that's going to continue to burn. But it doesn't. And I'm like, okay, so where's this fire at that they just set with fucking gasoline that burns for hours. It's not like a quickly burning away thing.
Fire extinguishers. I mean, it's a mall.
No, you didn't see that. They just ran away from this gigantic fireball that's underneath the mall. The mall would have been up in flames pretty quick, but that doesn't happen. We just forget about the fireball that we set off in the basement. That's
Probably,
cool.
but yeah, probably. But however, okay. Then they go back and they go back up. The lights are back on. Then they start having the discussion of what to do. No, because they're like, here, we're not going to make it here forever, and blah blah blah. And then Steve comes in and it's like, hey, I have an idea. Let's just hop into my ship and go have a cruise.
And he said that joke.
Yeah, as a joke. And then
they were like, that's a great idea. Let's do that.
Yeah,
like, Jackass has a boat. Let's all go get on the boat and go to an island.
Yeah, well, actually, to be honest, I think that is actually how the Day of the Dead ended. No, they went to a deserted island. No, and in general, I think it's kind of, the thing is, at this point, I mean, this is where you just have to cram all into one story. No, but the thing is, it's not that I don't like the escape plan, because then the scene comes on, you see them, another montage about how they have the idea to enforce the buses, no? Where they can just drive to the shore, no? And then go to a deserted island or blah, blah, blah. There's just things where I think like, for them to have this plan this early, I would have it as a maybe future plan, logically spoken, because in this situation, what you should have, safe place, food, and water. And at this point, there are nowhere near their food or water going out.
Right.
So at this moment in time, to say we're gonna go out to an island where we have no fucking idea what's going on is a little bit stupid. No, I mean
it is stupid. This would not happen in real life.
No, I mean the most people. I would. Having this as a backup plan when their food and water run out, no? Okay, because the thing is, this is a mall. There are probably multiple supermarkets in there. If they and all of the water and drinks, and they still have electricity, they can all still keep it cooled. No? So the thing is,
I didn't understand this part either.
Yeah, they have enough food and water. If they ration it for like a group of 10 people, would last them for years.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is a very, very dumb decision, and I did not did not agree with this part, and I don't think it would happen.
I mean, the thing is, it should have just been written differently, because the thing is, okay, eventually our food or water is going to go out. We have to figure out something to do once that's the case. And when we know our food and water is only going to last
that's the thing, though. The original film, when this decision was made, it was made because zombies overran the mall.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So you could have, shoulda, woulda, right? You could have had zombies break into the mall and infiltrate the mall to where they were everywhere, and then it would have made sense to leave. But you would not have had the time to Mad Max the shuttle buses downstairs. So
yeah, exactly. It's like that's why. That's kind of like the thing is, it should have just been written differently, because even if they enforce the buses and everything, you see everything going on. Then you have like a short scene where Steve is acting like an asshole because you're not helping us. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm the captain. I have the key. Yeah.
Fucking asshole. Yeah.
Fucking asshole. However, then a short thing happens where they know that Andy, the other guy in the gun shop, that he's almost starving. He has nothing to eat. No?
Yeah.
And they all clearly made out that he's going to come with them. So they have to give him food somehow.
Yeah.
And then they have to say that the zombies are not interested in the dog, so they send the dog over to get food, to give him food. So,
right. Well, there's a piece that we missed here that I meant to mention, and I just skipped over the part. Yeah. But Ving Rhames has been on the roof having a relationship with this guy, like communicating back and forth. He'll get a whiteboard out, and he'll write. It's also a great scene. We completely skipped over it, so I'll go back real quick, and then we'll come back here.
It's a part of the montage, too.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. This is probably my favorite part of this movie. So the guy who owns the gun shop, Andy, is across the street, but he's far enough across the street from the top of their building to where they can't hear each other talk, right? So they have this whiteboard that they write messages on, and they both have binoculars, and they can see what the person is writing, right? And so Ving Rhames starts to play chess with this guy, like he's got a chessboard set up in front of him, and Andy's got a chessboard, and they hold up their move that they made. So he makes the move that he make, and then makes his move, and then writes it on the whiteboard, and tells him what move they make. So they've been playing chess back and forth. Then they have this cool idea to like start writing down names of celebrities on the whiteboard that the zombies look like, right? So Ving Rhames holds up the whiteboard and it says, Burt Reynolds on it, right?
Yeah.
And so Andy's job is to find the zombie that looks like Burt Reynolds and shoot him. And this goes back and forth, and they start naming off celebrities. I think one of them is Rosie O'Donnell, Jay Leno, Burt Reynolds, and they realize this guy's a crack shot because he can figure out which one they're talking about and then pops him in the head with one shot. So the guy's also a great shot. But this relationship has been forming the entire time, and every time they communicate, they use the whiteboard to show the other one, what they want to say. And so now fast forward to this scene. Ving Rhames goes on the roof and asked how Andy's doing, and Andy says,
he holds
hungry.
up the sign saying 5 more days
because he's out
left.
of food.
Yeah.
I got 5 more days left. Help is not coming.
Yeah.
And then Andy writes back, so what's the bad news, right? Because he's a humorous guy.
No,
Anyway.
that happened. No, you kind of mix things up. The what's the bad news thing happened pretty much on during
the beginning. Right.
However, and then this is when they were enforcing the buses or whatever. I mean, you have like the cop holds up a sign, 5 more days left to show Andy, okay, we're gonna try to get out of here soon. No, and that is when Andy shows him that he's hungry. Exactly. Then they have the decision to send the dog over to give him food. No, okay.
Right.
However, it kind of goes sideways because zombies get into Andy's store.
Yeah, because they send the dog over with a thing on its back with food in it and a walkie-talkie. The dog goes to the door, and Andy lets him in. Unfortunately, one of the zombies gets in through the door as well. And then over the radio, you hear that he's been bit by this zombie that got in. Right? So Andy doesn't know that if you get bit, you turn into a zombie because that information has not been passed across. So when he says over the radio, oh man, these fuckers bite hard, everybody that's outside that heard that on the radio now knows that he is infected.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, then the nurse says, "Hey, should we tell him?" And then the black guys just shake his head, "No, don't tell him." No?
Yeah.
because
he doesn't have the heart to tell him because he likes the guy.
Then Mr. Nice Guy's girlfriend gets into the truck and drives over to the other because she wants to save the dog. I
like her. I like her. I like her. That was the best decision to make. Fuck Andy. My dog is over there, and that's exactly how I would be. If it was my dog and I sent my dog across the street to go bring somebody food, and then I realized that guy was infected and my dog was stuck there, I wouldn't talk to anybody. I wouldn't say a fucking word. I would go get in the truck and drive over there and get my fucking dog. So, bravo to her. Bravo to her.
Yeah, exactly. However, then they have okay, we have to go over and save her. No. So they're okay, we have to try to go through the sewers or whatever. No. And this is the situation that's the most aggravating or whatever because they have we're going to go through the sewers, get them, come back. No. And then baby just wait until we have this plan going on. The Andy thing is gone. No. And basically just do everything by plan. And then somehow they make the dumb decision to have Steve guard the door.
I'm glad you think this is a dumb decision too, because that's not the same.
I mean, this is in this situation, nobody would have leave this guy with any responsibility whatsoever. At this point, I wouldn't have even waited for him to give them the keys. I would have taken. I'm going to be honest at this point. No?
I fucking hate this guy, don't you? First you want to shoot him in the head, and then you're going to be like, okay, buddy, you're going to fucking stay here. I'm taking your keys. Have a nice life.
I wouldn't shoot him No, I mean, this is obviously... I mean, because...
That's a terrible idea. Yes, I would have left anyone there besides Steve.
Anyone. Except this guy. Because the only thing the person has to do is hold the fucking door open. No? However, then...
That's it.
Then they kind of they go through the sewers and the zombies get aware that they're there because when the guy closes the sewer lid, was also kind of dumb, but it's kind of the guy isn't very strong, so and that lid is probably pretty fucking heavy too. No?
But they are completely stocked on ammunition now because they went over there, they grabbed every possible weapon they could get their hands on, all the ammunition they could get their hands on, and they got the red hair girl back, nice guy's girlfriend. They got her back and the dog. So they're coming back through the sewers, right? The guy couldn't close the manhole lid quick enough because he's weak. He falls down the sewer and lands on his legs. And I think he breaks his legs, but we're not really sure. But he can't walk anymore because he fell. And so CJ has to drag him through the sewers, right?
Yeah. The cool
to
scene.
get to the other side.
Yeah.
Awesome scene because he's just sitting there. Like CJ's going forward and this guy's behind him on the ground facing the zombies. And CJ's like, fuck it. And he gives him his other weapon. So now this guy's here like this. Man, just fucking shooting zombies in the head the whole time. I fucking love this scene. And so you get that great montage of him just going through the sewers, fucking shooting zombies in the head while he's being dragged. Unfortunately, the zombies overcome him. He gets taken out. And the rest of them escape out of the sewer.
Yeah, but CJ before, that's the thing that actually shows that CJ is actually, I mean, I like CJ. He's one of my favorite characters. And this is where you can just see where he's a cool guy. He just pulls out his gun and shoots him in the head. No, for him. So he doesn't come back. And so, that's actually a thing where you see that CJ is actually one of the most merciful people in this fucking movie. No? And,
he is.
Yeah.
He is. And it also takes a certain kind of person to do something like that. That's the other thing. Like, you can put a lot of normal people in that situation and they could not shoot somebody in the head, even if it meant that they weren't going to suffer. There's very few people that can actually do that. So, yes, he is a good guy. I'll give you that.
Yeah. However, then they come running up through the hallway and this is like the door is closed. And this is what fucked up everything. Because if the door was open, they would have all made it out there in time, would have closed this door that, by the way, nobody's going to, not even, there could be 1,000 zombies down there. They would not be able to crack this door out because it's a fucking stable door and it opens towards the outside.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
So it's like, they would have been fully safe. I mean, they probably would have been a dumb decision to stay there for a couple of days because you do not know, maybe something happened, maybe the door will somehow come down, but they could have very, very calmly, get everything together, get enough food and water together for everybody, and now we have to make it out here. And this is like, at this point, I'm going to say it again, at this point, I would have fucking shot Steve in the head. I don't care at this point. This is the point.
Mike, I think you just want to shoot the guy in the head. I think you just want to shoot the guy in the head. I don't think there's anything that makes it bad enough for you to want to shoot him in the head because only like 30 minutes ago you said you would have shot this guy in the face the minute you met him. So I think you're just a bloodthirsty guy who doesn't like people who make stupid comments that are going to get everybody killed. Okay, yes, so Steve is an asshole because this is kind of the whole meme of you had one job, right? You had one job. You were supposed to stand there and open the door for us when we came back because we're going on a mission and you're getting to stay here. That's a privilege, right? The guy didn't open the door. The audacity of this fucking guy. Because when they do finally show up and they come back from this, he's just standing at the truck like, what you guys so long?
Yeah, that's the point. That's where, at that point...
Yeah, right in the fucking head.
Exactly. At that point, it's literally like, God, I mean, this thing is, they didn't have the time to grab food or water. No? They have to rush everything out now. This is probably a plan they have thought out thoroughly, probably. No? And because of this fucking asshole, no? 2 people are dead. They lost their safe room. And he's just standing there like, what the fuck? Where are we? I mean, no, at this point, literally, I don't care, Matt, but at this point, I would have shot him. Or I would have left him back.
With you.
I'm going to be honest.
Too.
I went on there to shot him. I would have literally got everybody in the truck, closed the doors. You're staying here, fucker. Have fun with the zombies. And
I would have just left him back, yeah.
Yeah.
So they all get into the vehicles. They pile into 2 of them because they've Mad Max 2 shuttles, right? So they pile into the shuttles and they leave them all, right? And so this opens kind of like one of my favorite scenes in the film because these guys are now on the run and they're just mowing over zombies with these two fucking shuttle buses. Because one of them's got like a snowplow on the front and the other one doesn't. But the one with the snowplow is up front, and it's just fucking mowing through zombies, dude.
Yeah. Now, of
It's
course,
fucking cool. It's a great scene.
of course, eventually they can't get through anymore, no? Because it's just too much.
Yeah, because it's a fucking sea of zombies.
Yeah. And however,
It's a
and then they
fucking
just pull
sea of
out this
zombies, and they've
propane.
overtaken the shuttles.
Yeah, they just pull out this propane container where they have a flare on, no?
Yes.
And of course, they shoot it, big explosion happens, half of the zombies dies, and the other on the floor. Then they can just drive through, okay? Then they start driving, no?
Yes, but admit that this scene is brilliant.
It is.
It's brilliant because CJ comes out of the top of the fucking shuttle with the propane tank, throws it into the crowd of zombies. This one muscle-bound zombie is like, ugh. He picks up the propane tank and like holds it above his head. There's no explanation for this, but he holds it above his head, and CJ's like, oh, thanks, shoots it, and you get like a bird's eye view of this thing exploding next to these two shuttle buses.
Yeah.
And this wave of zombies, the shock wave when this thing explodes is huge. And you see the zombies just get mowed down in slow motion by this gigantic shock wave and this fireball. Best scene in the film. My opinion, best scene in the film.
Yeah.
Like, loved it. I even had to go back and watch it again because I was like, that was so fucking cool. Yeah. Okay, so after that, they're driving, right? You can continue if you want.
Yeah, they're driving towards the shore, and then all of a sudden in the one car, the cop says, oh, there's one on the right, and then they're like, oh, then they have to get chance. This is the kind of decision where I think, okay, just wait until we're there. It's only one of them, So I would have just like, this kind of a dumb decision. However, the one guy brings out a chainsaw while they're driving, throws it in the corner, and it's like, of course, they lose balance, and he goes with the chainsaw into the blonde. At this point, these two people...
Completely unavoidable death.
Yeah, unavoidable. I would have done nothing. It's one zombie on the fucking truck. There are 10 people. They have guns. They have a chainsaw. They can handle one zombie. No? However, but there you go. The old gay guy and the blonde girl die because that immediately they wreck the car. No? And then you have like Steve.
Yeah, they wreck the shuttle bus.
They wreck the shuttle bus. Then the cop is still in his safe. For some reason, he put on the safety belt. But this is a moment where who the fuck cares?
I know, but old habits die hard, I guess.
Old habits die hard, yeah. But however, you see like Steve just grab a gun, doesn't help anybody, and just takes off. No?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what did you expect from this guy?
Yeah, of course. The zombie
that was
on the truck is still outside. Yeah. However, the zombie that was on the side of the truck, he instantly gets Steve like, good, he's dead. Good.
Thank God. I was happy with his death.
Yeah, good. Yeah, exactly. That was also the same thing when I saw the first time. I was in the movie theater. I was the guy. I was sitting there. I screamed, and everybody laughed in the movie theater. Yes! Why, motherfucker? He died, you stupid piece of shit!
Yeah. He definitely had it coming, dude. And I was happy. And what's cool about that is in zombie movies, if you really fucking hate a character, you're in for a double treat. Because they die horribly, and then they get back up as a zombie, and you get to kill them again.
Yeah, that's the great thing. And this is okay, Phil. Yeah. However,
which Steve comes back right after the shuttle bus is wrecked, and the other shuttle bus comes up because they realize they've wrecked and they want to pick up everybody. So anybody who's still alive in the one shuttle bus, including Ving Rhames, comes out and gets into the other shuttle bus. Steve pops back out. But this time as a zombie. He's like, ah! And blonde girl shoots him right in the fucking head. And did you see her face when she shot him in the head? She's like, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. And that was like, what was amazing about this scene, it was like, I've done this twice when I was in the movies, no?
Yeah.
Once I did it with Titanic, I was super fucking hammered, no? Also very hilarious. But the funny thing is, when I did this in Dawn of the Dead, when I was like, yeah, fuck you, die motherfucker. Everybody was there, looked at me, and they just immediately started laughing. Because everybody thought the exact same thing.
Everybody was thinking the same thing. But it's the guy with the ADHD who's got to be verbal about it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
However, then they gather everybody up, no? And then when everybody's in the truck, Nurse goes and starts looking for through Steve's pants, but nobody knows what she's doing. when I first saw the movie, I was like, what the fuck is she doing? No? But obviously she's looking for the keys for the ship.
Well, I
because
knew what she
nobody
was
saw
doing
it.
immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, the thing is, it's a smart idea because nobody else thought about it. Obviously, it's a situation where you could probably forget something like that. But however, then Nurse gets into the car. They have to fight off a few zombies before they close the door. No? They fight off all of the zombies. No? Close the door, and then Michael's like, what were you doing? And she pulls out the keys, and he smiles. And they drive towards the shore, and they literally just drive through the gate. This is also something they maybe open the gate then close it so they couldn't get in, but whatever. No?
Nobody's thinking right at this point, man.
Yeah, yeah. However, they just drive through to the shore, and they literally drive halfway almost into the fucking ocean, and then they stop the bus or whatever. No?
Yeah.
Then of course they kind of all start to get
in
out.
hindsight is actually a smart move because they drove the truck through the gate and onto the dock. The truck is much wider than the dock is, so that means no zombies can get past the truck, which means all you have to do now is get out of the truck and get in front of it, and you're not going to get attacked by zombies because they can't get past the truck. It's actually pretty smart, I thought.
Yeah, maybe probably.
Whether they did it on purpose or not, I don't know, but it was still smart.
However, then they kind of all start to get out of the car, run towards the ship, and then the zombies start coming in. And then CJ tries to hold them back, This is the scene, unfortunately, where CJ dies, because he sacrifices himself. He shoots the propane gas while zombies in him where it explodes, And that is actually
It's a great death. It's a great death.
Yeah, actually, through CJ's sacrifice, everybody else can make it out, What actually only makes me like CJ more as a character.
Yeah, absolutely. He realized it was the end, and he was like, well, what can I do to make sure they make it through? And he shoots the propane tank, and everything explodes, and half the zombies die. Brilliant. Yeah. So
then, however,
here's my question, Mike.
They all get on. Yeah.
Here's my question. They all get out of the truck. She has the boat keys. How the fuck did they know which boat was his? And how did they find it immediately?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the big question. How that's
like they immediately you can even watch her. She immediately goes to a boat, puts the keys in, and that's the boat. Like there's a million boats there. Do you know which one was it? Whatever.
That's
movie.
also dumb.
Yeah.
Then they all get onto the boat, and then Michael is still not on the boat yet, and he's like, "No, you guys got to go without me." The nurse was flipping out why. Then he shows a bite mark on his arm because when he was helping the nurse, he got bit by a zombie. You don't see that, no? And then she's like, no, and of course Michael's like, no, you guys got to go. He just rips off the boats and basically pushes the boat out, no? And then the cop is like, you sure you want to do this? And he's like, yeah, well, I guess I'm just going to enjoy the morning. what else? Because what else is he going to do?
I'm just going to enjoy the sun coming out. Yeah.
And
then we get kind of a scene. We get kind of a scene of the boat going away and then looking back at him, and he's got a gun in his hand. And he looks at the gun and he looks at them as they're going away, and then he puts the gun under his chin. And you see the nurse's face because she watches him shoot himself in the head. And you hear the shot go off, and you see her face, and you don't actually see him die, but you know he committed suicide. Yeah, and then that's pretty much it. Yeah. But something interesting here, right? There was not a Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead Part 2, right? But this film sets up a Dawn of the Dead Part 2, which never happened.
It doesn't.
It sets it up because in the ending credits,
Matt,
you get kind of a found footage. Yeah. You get kind of a found footage idea of what they saw and what happened, which obviously the island was full of zombies because that's what you see, right? Sucks because I like these characters and I don't want to think they died horribly, but I'm pretty sure they all died horribly. Overall, do we want to create our rating system now? Since we haven't had a rating system this entire time?
No, we haven't had a rating system. No, okay, we can create our rating system. No, we're not going to give it grades, right? Okay, we're gonna say worst is what are we gonna call it? Abysmal piece of shit coming out of a donkey's ass. I don't know. Yeah. Abysmal piece of shit that comes out of a donkey's ass. Okay, so that's awful, right?
Yeah, that's awful. What is like future? Actually, this is going to take longer to put together than I think. We're going to have to come up with a rating system. and then do it for the next show. Because whatever we come up with right now is going to be off the cuff. Like for this movie, if I'm rating it against other horror films in the same genre, right? I'm going to give this thing a B, probably. Like, could have been amazing, but probably wasn't. And the only reason I have for that is huge missed opportunity with the zombie baby. And then 2, did not have gore in the level that the original film had. Like, there's not a whole lot of blood and gore in this film. For a zombie movie, it is very, very, very light on gore.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
Do we agree with that?
Yeah, it's light on gore. Yeah. Well, I'm not really
light on gore.
Yeah, it's not. It's light on gore, but to be honest, gore is not necessarily mandatory for me in zombie movies. Just
it isn't, but
one
man,
thing that
it
I
certainly
absolutely
helps.
fucking hated.
If I think back to
it helps. I mean, it helps.
No, go ahead.
What fucking aggravates me is like movies like World War Z. I hated that movie because it's
I'm also not a fan. Yeah.
This is a fucking zombie movie, and you do not see one fucking drop of blood. That's stupid. Yeah. I mean, that's...
It is stupid. It is stupid. I don't know what anybody has against that, because for me, if you go... Like, you go to movies expecting a certain thing. Like, there's certain things that make a genre of horror film popular and that people like. And zombie films are known for extreme gore, right? They always have been. Since George A. Romero started it, extreme gore has been part of it, right? And there's no extreme gore in this movie. And so that's a little bit of a turnoff for me, right? Especially if you're doing a remake of a movie that was extremely gory. And you don't put that in the remake. This is more of like a real world movie that was probably made for everyone, almost, to kind of get the genre kicked back off. And maybe that's why they didn't put that much gore in the movie. But I missed it, dude. The whole film, I missed the gore. I missed it. But the movie is really well done. The cinematography is great. The writing is good. The actors were good. The script was good. So for that reason alone, it gets a B for me.
Yeah,
like good movie. Too, yeah. Good movie. Do you think it holds up to the original?
Hard decision. I would say, I would say, yeah, I do think it holds up to the original. It's not, I wouldn't call it better than the original. No, I would just say, in my opinion, the original and the remake are both on the same level. They both have their strengths and their weaknesses. No, but I wouldn't say I prefer or dislike one or the other. I both like them equally. No? Okay. The remake is different. I mean, in regard things, there are a lot of things the remake does that the original didn't do, and vice versa. For example, one thing that they've done very well with the remake is they made fast zombies. No? And
I was going to bring that up. These more resemble the zombies from 28 Days Later.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, it wasn't really, fast zombies weren't really actually that popular, no, in zombie movies up until this. It was Dawn of the Dead that popularized it. Dawn of the Dead and 28 Days Later, no, in my opinion, no, that popularized.
Yeah, I was going to say, I still don't know which one came out first. If it was 28 Days Later or this film. One of these two movies popularized fast zombies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the Runner Zombies. These two movies popularized them. And the thing is, that's what I definitely like about it, because I do like the fast zombies better than the slow ones. Because it's just like, how should I say it? Just like The Walking Dead. Even though I like The Walking Dead, I didn't watch it past 6 seasons because it just bored the shit out of me after that. No? But,
well, I'll go on record and say The Walking Dead is boring as fuck. Like,
yeah,
I never liked it. It's a character drama with zombies.
With zombies, exactly. The thing is, yeah, exactly. The thing is, I mean, the first few seasons I liked because that is just what set it apart from other zombies thing. At that time when it came out, it was something fresh. And it was actually the first zombie series you knew. Other than that, it was just a movie here, a movie there, and what actually popularized zombies and fully brought them into the mainstream was The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's true.
And, but it's just like, thing is, what I very strongly dislike about The Walking Dead, there is, for me, no logical way how this would have happened. Because
Yeah.
if the zombies were that fucking slow, you can just walk away from them. You don't even have to run. Yeah. So this is like
Yeah, they never
this.
run at you.
This
Like,
is
it's just
exactly. This is the thing is just like with the fast zombies. The thing is they don't get tired. They don't tire whatever because they're dead.
right.
So the thing is, in the world, if people had no fucking idea what zombies were, this could actually work because nobody knew what the fuck is happening. And this is
Right.
also something I have to say. I don't know if you've seen the show yet. All of Us Are Dead on Netflix.
No, I haven't. But isn't that like a Korean? Is it Korean?
It's a Korean one. It's a Korean one, exactly.
Yeah, Korean. I haven't
Korean.
seen it yet. Yeah.
You watch it. It's amazing. This is like it's literally one of the best zombie shows I have ever seen. It's way ahead of The Walking Dead, and I can't wait till the second season because it's just like, this is like how they actually managed to make a zombie movie in a world where the people are aware what zombies are. Not everybody, no? But because there's a specific scene where one of the characters gets in, and he's like, holy shit, zombies, what the fuck is happening? No? And then they're sitting there like, what? Zombies? Zombies aren't real. Look what's happening, dumbass. No? And this is actually where it's like the writing is brilliant in this movie. Brilliant, Matt. No? There's the origin of the zombie virus is kind of a little bit stupid. That part itself is ridiculous, no? But that is like the only thing they have going on. What's also very interesting in thing, they do something that I have not seen very much in zombie shows, is where you have certain people that are not fully immune, no? And they kind of only do not really turn into zombies. They become a zombie human hybrid, no? Yeah. So like basically they have like they're like supernatural things. They have like occasionally they have to eat meat or whatever, or human meat, and they hunger for it, no? But once they eat human meat, they revert back to their normal self. And they have they're like super strength, agility or whatever, but it's only a very few of them. That also gives the kind of an interesting twist to it, no? And then there's just like, this is like one of the only zombie shows I have seen where you actually see people, no, making strategically intelligent decisions, specifically military. One thing that always aggravates me in zombie movies, in a lot of zombie shows or movies, militaries act like complete fucking idiots. No?
I'm gonna have to like step on your toes there a little bit. So the military are a bunch of fucking idiots. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody know out there who's listening. I spent 24 years on active duty without another job. I was a soldier for 24 years. I've been in all sorts of conflicts all across the world. And the way the military operates is very stupid. It's very stupid because you get a set of orders and you are to follow those orders to the T. So if you get those orders, nothing else outside of those orders matters. So if there's a zombie situation and you are ordered to shoot them on sight, and everybody else, whether you know they're a zombie or not, guess what? You shoot everybody.
Yeah, no, but
that's how it's
not
going
the
to work.
thing that, I mean, that itself, yeah, that's like, because the soldiers do what they're ordered. I'm not talking about the soldiers. I mean, also the generals in charge. That's what you see making these decisions, for example.
That's real.
No?
That's real.
Huh? The thing is because
the decisions are always ridiculous.
I know. Yeah, okay, whatever. Just say, if you have time, All of Us Are Dead on Netflix, watch it. No?
Okay.
Watch it. It's definitely, if you're a zombie, it's one of the, it's in my opinion, my favorite zombie show.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'm going to watch it. If you say that, I'm going to check it out.
The zombies are literally a mix between 28 Days Later and Dawn of the Dead. They're a mix between those two. It's a virus, of course. They're undead, no? But it's also, they go pretty much into the thing, presumably Dawn of the Dead, depending on however they were infected, the disease kind of spreads or happens faster or smaller or whatever, no? And it's just, the characters are actually brilliantly written because it's a bunch of high school kids. The thing is you see actually how it breaks out. You have like one girl gets infected, no? She bites her teacher, and then they have to take this infected girl to a hospital on the other side of the city. So you have like this thing happening, equally breaking out in two parts of the city, and it just happens super fucking fast, no? How would I say, just like All of Us Are Dead, check it out.
Okay. So, not to get too far into the weeds on the whole zombie thing, because I'm pretty sure we're going to do a shitload of zombie movies, because there's a lot of really good ones out there. But I don't know if we're gonna end up doing series
We'll
like
see.
Netflix series or whatever series. But what is your take on The Last of Us? What do you think about this?
It's a
Because
Walking Dead
okay,
ripoff. It's a Walking.
so
Okay,
for
my
those of you who
take on
don't
The
know, me
Last
and
of
Mike are
Us.
also a
Okay.
huge video game fanatic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The thing is, I was never when The Last of Us came out. No, that was pretty much around the same time The Walking Dead started to become popular. No,
Oh no, you're talking about the game. I'm talking about the show.
the show. I don't know. I don't care. I don't give a rat's ass about The Last of Us.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. Okay, I knew that was coming. I just
The thing
that's the
is,
reaction I wanted to get
I
out of
was
you
never
when I asked
interested.
you that. So thank you for that. That's the whole reason I asked you. I just wanted to hear you say I fucking hate it and I don't give a shit.
Okay, well now you got that reaction
Okay,
out of me.
okay,
Yeah.
good. I feel the same way. I'm with you on that. The games, part 1 and 2, I love the games. Like the games are great. The mechanics are good. The story's good.
Yeah. Well,
It's a great video game. The
the
series,
thing
on the
is,
other hand, fucking hate it. Fucking hate it.
no. How should I say it? The thing is, the video game. I don't know if the video game is good or bad. The first part. It's just I wasn't interested in it. For me, there was nothing that interested me in this show because this is like literally everything I have seen in any other zombie movie, series, or whatever. There's nothing new. And the only thing that's new about it is you have like zombies having mushrooms coming out of their heads. And so that's like, okay, I didn't hate the video game. It's just like, for me, this is not a masterpiece when it comes to zombie shit because The Last of Us literally just, it does nothing, absolutely nothing new. It's just like, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it
not,
kind of just rehashes old
yeah, yeah.
stories. I
But
mean,
I'm
there are a few things about it that I think are interesting, and the fact that they chose to do it the way that they did, especially with like how the zombies are created, the fact that it's a fungus, and that the fungus can reproduce itself over and over and over again. And it instead of getting bitten by one of them to become a zombie, you can literally breathe in the spores and become one. So I thought
yeah,
that was
okay,
cool.
that's true, that's true. Okay, I have to agree at that one. Okay,
At least
that's
video
true.
game wise, that part came over very well. The show itself, in my personal opinion, is utter trash. But whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, thing is, yeah. Okay, I have to agree with you on that point. That point alone, that is really what they did good. But the thing is, just me is I was never interested in the video game. The second part was it was literally the last Jedi of video games. No, and for me, even though a lot of people liked it, objectively spoken, the second part destroyed the franchise entirely. There's not going to be a third part, by the way. No?
Is there not? I thought they just announced a part 3.
No, the director said don't count on a third part.
Really?
You have to see it this way because even though it was technically not a flop, comparing it to the old one, it was bad, Matt. That's what the media is not telling people. I mean, the first game
Okay.
sold like about
Okay.
about 30 million, 20 to 30 million. The second part only sold 10 million, Matt. That's abysmal.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, even though it technically might be a bad game, with the decision they made, I guarantee you, specifically killing Joel, no, and then forcing people to play as Abby, that is like the dumbest thing you could do.
Well, that got me down about it. I don't think the game is bad. Like I played part 2 as well. I played it all the way through. I don't think it was a bad game. I think the graphics were better. The story was also good, but it was a very, very, very bad decision to kill Joel off.
For that
pissed me off.
That alone was a bad decision, no? Because he's one of the most beloved video game characters that have ever existed. I never liked him or the game, but it's just if you look at it from a neutral position, you can clearly see why people hated it. Not only did they kill Joel, they forced the players to play as the person who killed Joel. And that is like...
Yep, and Abby is a piece of shit. Yeah. I don't care how much they tried to redeem her character throughout the game.
Yeah.
She is a wretched piece of shit.
That is like, yeah, because this is the thing is, this guy saves her, and she directly decides to bash his head with a golf club, but that's an entirely different thing. But the thing is, you can see
Matt, I'm with you.
know?
I'm with you.
If you look into trophies, Yeah, you can look in. You can literally on your own PlayStation, no, go in and see at what point people stop playing games because like the bronze trophies are what you basically get if you play through a game, and you can clearly see no the percentage of players that get a trophy after you have to play Abby. At that point, it drops from like 60% people achieving the goal to 20%. That's
Wow.
and
Holy shit. Okay.
literally look into your PlayStation, turn it on, and look into the achievements, and then look into almost every single streamer, that streamed the game. At that point, almost all of them turned the game off.
That's
Stop
interesting.
playing.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's interesting. I did not know that.
yeah.
Okay.
that is literally, and this is thing is, and that the thing is, there are multiple levels. Another thing is when it comes to Abby, that's the she killed Joel. Then there's the other type of discussion of how she looks. She looks like the fucking Terminator. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. I understand that they want to make more realistic female body types, and it doesn't bother me. But this is like she looks like the Terminator. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, so I think there's a reason for that. Like if you follow the story to the end, why she looks like she does. But I will say this, for a female to get that muscle bound, she would have to have access to a lot of protein, which we're talking about a world that is short on supply. And she would have to have access to a very good gym, which she does not. And she looks like a very built
and the thing is,
female.
That body type. I mean, a lot of people complain
It's
how
rare as fuck.
Yeah, what?
Is rare as fuck. That
rare
body
as fuck.
type on a female is rare as fuck.
The thing is, in this scenario, a lot of people complain about female characters having extremely unrealistic big boobs, and I get that, but it's the thing I don't really care about. But this is even more unrealistic.
Because especially for the scenario we're talking about.
But however, and then the thing was for me, then the thing for me was when they brought up the show, I read a little bit about the show or whatever, and then they said, I remember watching multiple interviews, reading multiple things from the directors and the screenwriters saying that there weren't going to be much zombies in the show. Huh? And that was like, I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
And at that point, I literally read up on that to see if it is true, and it's like, fuck you guys. I'm not watching this shit. I'm not going to watch a zombie show without zombies. And so,
well, you dodged the bullet because the series is not good. It's not good. It's the best part of the series is the fact that it has Pedro Pascal in it. I think he's a great actor, but other than that, not worth watching.
No, that's like, for me, I'm not. The thing is, for example, there's a lot of things that going on. There's a specific reason why I'm not going to play The Last of Us or watch the show. Is specifically the way the game director Neil Druckmann acted towards the players. Huh? Yeah. If you don't know,
he pulled a Kathleen Kennedy on the fans of the series.
No, he done even worse. What you don't know, he went on a live stream on YouTube with the voice actor that voiced Joel for 1.5 hours. The only thing they did was shit, insults, and talk real bad things about fans, and at the end, Neil Druckmann ended it with, "To all of our critics, you are not as relevant as you think. The most of you are totally irrelevant. We make fun of you idiots behind closed doors. Fuck all of you guys." Literally, he did that.
Okay, I did not know that.
I mean, if you look, use the Wayback Machine, and you can still watch the video on YouTube where he does it.
Okay.
And
I did not know that.
I mean, that was the thing is, I never played The Last of Us 1 or 2, but I was always like, maybe I'll kind of try it out. But when I was watching that live stream, I was like, fuck it. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Okay. Well, that's a good point. So franchises and their creators are the people that make money from them. Insulting fans in general, and this goes for Star Wars, especially Star Wars, and anyone else. This whole toxic fandom thing, to where the creators will take their frustrations out on fans, is abhorrent to me. I hate that. That completely ruined Star Wars for me. Well, not Star Wars, but just anything that Disney's done, because they did the same thing. It's ridiculous. Anyway, Mike, you have to get to a birthday party, and
I have to get to my niece's birthday party. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got to go walk some dogs. So,
okay.
You want to wrap this up?
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
however,
cool.
I'm going to wrap it up. Yeah, well, glad to have you guys. To the people who came back to the show to listen to us talk shit, no? And well, just like I said again, if you like it, just follow us on Spotify or subscribe to the YouTube channel. And Dawn of the Dead was a good movie, so we didn't really rip it apart. And I can't remember our schedule. What movie we're doing next? Wrong Turn.
Wrong Turn. Okay,
Exactly.
good.
Yeah.
Wonderful film. All right.
Exactly.
We are talking about the original, correct? Not the remake.
The original Wrong Turn.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Okay.
Good, because that's
so,
great.
Yeah, exactly. So just for next Sunday,
good shit, man.
We are going to do Wrong Turns. Yeah. So wait, guys.
Okay.
Well then.
And we'll probably find some more like interesting metal tidbits for you as well. But yeah, so we'll see you then. This is Matt.
Yeah, this is Mike. No?
See you guys later.
Yeah, see you guys later.